should be fixed now, but I had to upgrade to Windows 11, which sucks. And as always, it fucked with the audio of the stream. So you should be hearable now. The chat should be able to hear you now.
You tell me when I'm live.
You're live.
Yeah, but also but tell me when I'm live with audio, because it has to be both.
You are currently live with audio.
What's the point if it's not both? Like, I didn't hear you. Tell me when I'm live.
Okay, let me repeat this. You are currently live with audio
on the Twitch channel.
On the Twitch channel, yes.
That's the place for it.
Yeah, that is the place for it, because that's where you currently are.
Sorry, I was just setting up some Masayashi Takanaka all-time super best.
I'm glad that you got your like a fucking, weirdly enough, I think I saw a video of him the other day where he had a small
Masayashi Takanaka.
Yeah, and I think he had like a small train set glued to his guitar, which was lying on a table, like
it's the same man himself.
Like with just completely flat on the table with a train set going around back and forward on his guitar, and he was doing that way where you like vertical play the guitar, where you have like your slide and thing, and just someone just the comment was, "This is the most autistic guitar player known to man." Just because trains.
He loves that stuff. He's a good lad.
So, oh yeah, he's a good lad, but it's stuff. It was one of the things where like. It's a new level of for fuck's sake. So yeah, someone made a claim that he was the most autistic guitar player they've ever seen because trains on a guitar while playing a guitar on a flat surface. But it's really bluesy guitar because when he's clearly a blues player at heart. You can just tell from his guitar style. Because I was listening to the music, you know.
I mean, let me find you another picture of the man himself.
I
mean, there's a bunch of ones where he just looks cool as shit. Like he wears like tropical pattern suits and stuff.
Suits? I was expecting to say like a Hawaiian shirt there.
No, it looks like a Hawaiian shirt, but it's a suit jacket.
That's pretty
good shit. I'll show you.
I like a good Hawaiian shirt.
Bam.
Oh, bam. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah, no, yeah, that is just like.
And then here's him with just a normal guitar.
That is the most normal guitar I've ever seen.
It's a normal guitar and a normal surfboard.
That must be
both those things, but normal at once.
Part of me wonders how tonally awful that guitar sounds, like just like guitar tone wise. Just because like it's not even like I imagine that's not wood, but maybe it is. I don't know. Like some part of me thinks it can't be wood because it's so fucking absurdly large.
Surfboards can be made out of wood.
Yeah, no, but it's more like if you're playing something the way he's playing it and it also resting all the weight on his shoulders, that would not be comfortable to play.
Yeah.
So there's like a part of me that's kind of like, how the hell?
Like if you look at the bottom, you can actually see the fin. Like they've made it as if it's a normal surfboard. It's got all the bits.
They 100% have made this thing like they've made a surfboard guitar. 100%. I just wonder what it's actually made out of though, because again, it has to be manageable, you know.
It's made out of rock and roll, baby. I'm seeing if there's any other wild images I can show you. I think that's one of my favorite ones, is just him with this surfboard guitar. Oh, I find one of him here. Hang on. Would you believe that is not his only one?
That is wild. Like, okay.
This is a thing for him that he has surfboard guitars.
Is that? I'm trying to. Like, I need to see here who the actual. I think that's Ibanez. Like I'm trying to see the guitar manufacturer. I think that's Ibanez. Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
That's like I think I'm recognizing Ibanez's.
Yeah, like he has
font.
I think blues is kind of what he first
started with,
like learned and started with. But if you listen to a lot of his stuff, it is weirdly beachy.
Yeah,
it's like blues beach jazz. There's not really anything exactly like it.
Yeah.
This is about Masayashi Takanaka, who is a Japanese jazz and blues and beach guitarist, who I don't listen to what you guys are listening while the show's on, because the only way I could do that would be to turn on the audio for the show, and then I would hear our voices. Yeah. So every week I play his best of album, like a little bit low, just in the background, so that I'm not like really aware of the silence around me. And it is called Masayashi Takanaka All Time Super Best. No chance you're spelling that to Google the motherfucker. I will type it in for you.
Masayoshi
Takanaka.
Yeah, he is a very, man, like, guitar players are just eccentric. Japanese guitar players are sometimes on a whole different level. Americans inspired by eccentric Japanese guitarists are even worse. Because then they go to Japan and then become like even more eccentric, trying to outdo the eccentric Japanese players.
And you can't do it. It can't be done.
No.
I see the surfboard.
Yeah.
You see one of them. He has multiple.
He has multiple. Whereas one was like one was red, and the other one I can describe as kind of like a lilac.
Yeah, it's like a lilac, but it has dark spots.
Yeah, like
violet spots.
Like spots with like a lilac base with spots on it.
He's living his best life. We should all be so lucky.
And then like the first picture you sent to me, where he's in his sort of like Hawaiian style suit. Like he's just using a classic Fender Stratocaster.
But he has coordinated the color of the Strat.
Yeah, with the suit,
with his blazer.
Yeah, just a fundamentally solid guitar, the Stratocaster.
No fancy design, just a nice color, solid guitar. Nothing wrong with it. It's going to get the job done.
Yeah, like it's one of the most versatile guitars in the world, because it can play anything you want to play, be it metal, blues, rock, yeah, pop. It's just such a because of its multi.
It's like the Swiss Army knife of guitars.
It really is, and it comes down to the fact that its pickup designs are so wonderfully attuned, because like the 3 different pickups allow you to then get very different tones, depending on what you're really going for from the style of music you're trying to play. But that is me getting into a very more sophisticated conversation about guitars that I maybe fucking have mentally the time and energy for.
Although between Masayashi Takanaka's beach stylings and us talking about Final Fantasy X and Island adventures, have you heard WWE's latest signing?
They've signed quite a few people the last week or two, so which one is it?
Hikuleo.
Oh, Hikuleo! Yes. Hikuleo is very good.
He is very good.
Very tall man. Very tall man.
Yeah, he is very tall, isn't he? Belief is that he's going to be
Tama and Tonga's brother, super fucking tall.
Yeah, belief is that he's going to round out Bloodline 2.0, which makes Bloodline 2.0 significantly bigger than OG Bloodline, even if you counted Sami Zayn.
Yes, 100%. And like to some extent, it's one of those ones where, like, I worry that is diverging or like kind of getting into NWO Wolfpack territory.
My concern with it is it's fine, and then you bring Roman back and you do Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And then afterwards you either have NWO Wolfpack, one massive fucking Bloodline group that has conglomerated, and then what do you do with that? Or one or both groups split up, and then like 50% of the men's roster is just one Samoan family that aren't talking to each other anymore.
Yeah, this is not, to me, this doesn't feel like it can end well. Like on a post Bloodline feud is hard. What do you do with those players going forward?
That's my concern. I think you can send some of them to NXT. Like 1 or 2 for a short run, like they've done with people before. I think the smart thing to do with some of them would be to turn to TNA and be like, you know, the way we keep borrowing your people, can we loan you some Samoans, please? Because we've got too many.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, it's not really like that won't work to some extent, because Hikuleo and stuff have already done runs in TNA, so it's not like you're getting anyone new in.
Have the Gorillas done TNA?
They were
Sure,
part
give
of
Roman Reigns. Just give TNA Roman Reigns.
They had a whole Bullet Club run there. And they were
Rock is for sure coming back into the mix for next WrestleMania.
But like, I think he's coming in to be a weird he is coming in for one of two things. He ever is going to have like a weird mini feud with Roman Reigns to try and assert dominance over that. Yeah, to assert dominance over who truly is the head of the table. Bullshit, because they always want to run Cody. Or it's Rock and Cody. Like one of those two things are coming. Which are like both massive draws. Like no matter what one of you use, no matter what one of those you do, you're going to draw a fucking massive fucking payday for that. It more comes down to like what makes storyline sense, what is going to provide a better like consistent throughput story. And like I watched that. Did you watch that documentary for the WrestleMania, like the run up on the one? Weirdly enough, on YouTube.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I did watch the clips of The Rock taking credit for everything that anyone has ever done in the world. I went in hearing that it was a massive. Like before I watched it, I went in reading reports that it was massively fucking retconned and like they swept a lot of the decision.
It's
like, you didn't make a decision. People told you what they wanted.
Yeah, it's like it kept going. Like, and I saw that turned into a meme. So where it's like he's just now attributing like historic parts of like wrestling history, where it's like where he goes like, and so I said to Andre, Hulk's going over, brother. It's something like that.
I saw one where someone was saying like the way they're gonna trigger the Rock Cody feud is Rock's gonna go, so I solved racism, and then Cody's music will hit and be like, that doesn't work for me, brother.
Oh god,
because he's got melanin in his soul.
Yeah, melanin in his soul. Melanin in his soul.
In his soul.
He solved racism, Cody Rhodes. God,
that white boy. God bless that.
Oh god, it's so fucking good.
I say white, but I think he's half or quarter
Cuban or Puerto Rican. I can't remember specifically what it is. It's ever Cuban
Mama
or Puerto
Rhodes. Rican. Look at your boy now, Mama Rhodes.
Pow! Just the fucking belt.
Laura will just randomly say that. She'll be like, Mama Rhodes. Look at your boy, Mama Rhodes.
Such a good line. He's a piece of shit, but it's such a good line.
It was just that he said it again. Like, it was one of those that he knew it was going to be a good line, so he just kept saying it so that it would stick in people's heads.
Yeah.
And it is one of those where it's like, as much as you make fun of him, he does still have that head where he knows how to get something over.
Yeah. Unlike a fucking certain person who should fucking retire, who's like, I am the learning tree. It's like, fuck off, Jericho. Like, honestly, retire.
It's like you look at people who are that bit older. Like you look at someone like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like no one was calling for Sting to retire. No. People knew that he was gonna, but no one was calling for it.
No one actively wished it.
Not that it's quite the same because he's not at the same stage of his career as Jericho is, but Randy Orton is certainly in the last section of his career, realistically, unless he does a Ric Flair or a Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
And he has said that he thinks he can go another 10 years, which I don't believe.
I only think he can because he's on the juice.
I mean, he's juiced as fuck. And also he's basically said that he doesn't want to do any more ladder matches, table matches. Like he's like, I will do normal wrestling matches and that will enable me to keep this going. And the response from I think pretty much everyone has been like, all right, yeah, that's cool. Whereas Jericho's out there doing fucking mad gimmicks and people are like, please stop. 1, retire, and 2, go to bed. You need to lie down
and get off the juice. He's like, both of them are on juice. Randy Orton arguably looks a little bit better on the juice, but they both got juice belly where it's like they don't have abs, So where they take the juice and it pushes the abs out of their stomach that aren't actually there.
I only started looking at WWE again this year because I was like, oh, it'll be fun to watch WrestleMania with Laura Marie now that she's into the wrestling. And the first thing I said when I saw Randy Orton on screen was, fuck me, he's juiced. Because it was like Randy Orton was always very lean.
Yeah.
And now he's a big boy. And I'm like, fair play, mate. Do whatever you want to do. It's your body. But
AJ's
it's noticeable. Oh, AJ is juiced to shit. Like,
yeah, AJ's just a juice as well. Like, anytime you see abs pushing out of someone's stomach where they don't have tone, that is juice. That is steroids. That is human hormone.
Yeah. Well, I think it's still in place that it's like, yes, you do get tested every once in a while, and so long as you pass the tests, you're fine. And by the way, we'll tell you when the tests are.
Yeah, and even then, it's one of those ones as well where like certain human growth hormone doesn't get picked up in the test.
Yeah,
not too bad. Kingdom Hearts, so we keep mugs. I'm tell you, you're looking well.
Ooh.
Oh, what's your ID? Raw hair and this Teapot Shark, you all doing well? Because I'm tell you, you're all looking well. Ooh. Excuse me.
You're right there.
Lucozade, man. Fuck you up.
It'll get you.
It'll get you. It's just pure glucose.
Well, that's the juice that they're all on. When we say they're on the juice, we mean Lucozade.
I'm on the Lucozade.
Well, you're juiced.
I'm juiced. My mum doesn't like this stuff. She prefers the sports stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to
she's
get
very
the sports
active,
stuff.
so she needs it.
It's because she's diabetic, and when diabetic people are gonna sugar drop, it Lucozade actually is really helpful.
Oh no, I know. My granddad was the same.
Yeah, so yous are all too kind. You're all too kind. We are just we're just starting off we normally do with the wrestling. But the wrestling
is PVW, we have to.
Fuck's sake. But yeah, no, fucking that thing that I mean, like wrestlers have all shown their arses this week in massive ways. Some people that we expect to show their arses, other people we knew what their arses looked like and made their arses even worse looking.
Mm-hmm.
Just all arses everywhere. Like admittedly, like, you know, Jericho retweeting like well wishes towards Trump after his attempted assassination was like,
yeah, I mean,
was expected but still unfortunate to see. And then Hulkamania hulking up during a fucking that was the weirdest thing.
Have you seen Idiocracy?
I have heard of it. That's the Terry Crews joint, right?
Yes. So it's a film about the future. Like it's basically Futurama. A guy gets frozen and sent into the future. And in the future, it's that people have become so stupid that society is on the verge of collapse.
Right.
And that America, under that system, goes out of its way to elect whoever the smartest person is, because they're like, none of us know what the fuck we're doing. So you get introduced to the president thinking, okay, it's going to be someone really smart, and it's just Terry Crews as someone called President Camacho, who is genuinely Hulk Hogan. Like, that is 100% who he is.
Jesus Christ.
And that's meant to be the best that there is. And I watched the Hulk Hogan speech at the RNC, and I was just like, we've hit the point where things that were parody 15 years ago are now just what's happening.
That's
the correct response. That's the only response there is.
It's like he pulled a Hulkamania on the RNC, like to the point where shirt ripping everything.
He did not pull a Hulkamania.
Oh, he pulled a Trumpamania.
He said it's Trumpamania is going to run wild. And it's like, how the hell is the one person Hulk Hogan has ever decided to put over in his entire fucking career that guy?
I saw like live reactions when like Donald Trump's own son was up on the stage. He couldn't have looked any more bored. And then when Hulk was on stage, the live reactions, it looked like a child was at a wrestling show. And I was like, yeah, you know what?
Because he is.
It is basically a wrestling show at this point. It's all a mess. It's all the worst.
Ringy, I have thought this so many times. Like, I don't do comedy writing anymore. but I am like, I don't know how you make fun of things. I don't know how you parody anything anymore, because we've gone so far beyond the pale. And it was always meant to be, the joke was, the thing was like, real life is funnier than anything anyone can make up. But you could take real life and make it funnier. You could make fun of it. And now I'm just sad. I'm just so sad.
It's it's like every part of me is just looks at it like we have entered a weird timeline. Like I feel like someone online made the comment that we accidentally verged into the wrong timeline the day that Harambe was shot, and I'm starting to believe it.
It does seem like you can track everything from there. That was the point where things became. It was one of those pieces of news that you were like, what's going on? What is this? And from there, every piece of news has been stranger.
I think like Harambe was secretly holding the strings together in the background, and we did not know.
I'd buy it. I would buy it.
Which now makes the meme of like the Harambe meme where like he goes, "Child, I have secrets to tell you," before you get and he gets shot. I'm starting to find that funnier and funnier for just the worst reasons, because you know, Doomer
on the bright side, British politics has been blissfully uneventful since the election.
It's weird how like, and I don't like Keir Starmer.
Neither do I particularly.
I think he is a Tory in a red tie.
Absolutely agree. Well, he is quietly and competently, even if you don't like everything he's doing, some of it's all right. He is quietly and competently just doing the job, and it's like, oh, that's nice. It's been a while since that happened.
It's weird. And like, I already saw that Tory newspapers were trying to have a go at him for the global crisis. Like, yes, he was indeed the person that pushed those Microsoft updates. You're 100% right, Times Online. You're 100% right.
It was pointed out to me earlier today that Trump's running mate, JD Vance, said that since Keir Starmer has become prime minister, that England is now an Islamist country. And I'm like,
hi?
That doesn't make any sense. I'm fairly sure Keir Starmer is Christian.
Yes.
And although Hinduism and Islam are different, racists can't tell the difference.
No.
So why is it that racists think now that the Hindu is out of office and that the Christian is in, that now we're Muslim? Like, that's a completely third religion that has nothing to do with either of the previous religions.
Do they just see any sort of like left-leaning politics? Because I don't even think really current Labour is left-leaning. I think they're centrists. But I mean,
they're 100% centrist. And Keir Starmer himself has said in interviews that it was very important in his mind to bring Labour back to the centre to make it appealing to voters. Yeah. So they are 100% a centrist party.
So, but do they just see anything as like left to the? This is going to sound like such a weird sentence. Anything left to the right, that again is a fucked up sentence.
I know what you mean.
Is suddenly Islamic? Is that what their head is at? It's like, oh, you're more left than right. Whistles. That's Islam.
None of them actually believe it. They just know that there are certain phrases that rile up their supporters, like Islam, communism, socialism, and they just throw them out at anyone that doesn't stand for what they stand for to try and get their supporters to be like, yeah, fuck those guys. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make any sense, and they know that. They just weaponize it.
I watched Trump's son's wife. That's in her again. Like,
was this the one that said father-in-law like 50 times?
This is the one that said that their veterans and ancestors stormed the beaches of Normandy to fight communism, despite the fact...
Ancestors is a strong word, first of all. It wasn't that long ago.
And also, the communists at that time were the allies of America facing Germany, but sure, we're just going to overlook that, I guess.
It's like, if you asked any of them what is communism, what is socialism, they wouldn't be able to give you a real answer because they don't know. They just know it's a word they slap on people that don't agree with them.
I've seen that play out, that exact question play out, and it is just one of those ones where they fumble the ball and they do that great political thing they like to do in America, where asked a yes or no question, try to answer with a longer sentence.
Let's not let facts get in the way of a good story. It reminds me of that Stuart Lee bit, where he was talking about how he was having an argument with someone, and he laid out like the facts that proved he was right, and the guy he was arguing with went, "Oh, sure, well, you can prove anything with facts. And it's like, well, one, no, you can't. You can only prove with facts what they prove. That's what makes them facts. But yes, if you do have facts, you can prove your point. And if facts prove your point, that means it's the right one. And if you don't have that, that means you're wrong.
Those things are like,
sure, you can prove anything with facts.
It's like that's the point of facts, is to try and prove something. Oh, this is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
There's a
you know what is not political though, although it should be, that bothers me.
What's up?
Have you seen any of the absolutely soulless D&D Beyond ads on YouTube?
Weirdly, no, because like all of my ad blocks broke and wouldn't stop the ads, to the point where like instead of loading the YouTube video, what would happen is that a black screen would perpetually spin.
Yep.
And I tried I tried installing different types of ad blockers, tried refreshing the filters, doing all the things you would normally do to try and fix your ad blocker. It didn't work, and I ended up, oh fuck you then, just take my fucking $10 a month, you wankers. So I'm on premium now.
The ads, I mean, they say the ads, it's one ad. It's really weird. It's really weird. It's like, I'm trying to figure out how to describe it. It's like you're in this big, and he's off again. He can't be stopped. Sorry.
It's very warm in here.
It has been warm. It's like there's this big empty room, and the camera kind of pans around it to show you the covers of D&D books that are on D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, look at this book. Look at this book. But it's playing like elevator music. It's not like fantasy music. It's not like battle sounds. It's not like epic in any way. It's just like the music you would hear in a hotel elevator. It feels really weird. That I'm like,
they're trying to avoid like anyone copywriting their ad.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was just they didn't want to shell out for like copyrighted music. But you've got video games that have their own music in them that you can use, or you can use copyright free music that doesn't sound like fucking nothing. I'm gonna see if I can find the ad, like just a video of the ad. D&D Beyond's YouTube ad, so just so that you can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No, I don't want the good ones that Critical Role made. I want the shit one. I don't know that you can find videos of just YouTube ads. Shut up, Jeremy Crawford. No one wants to hear what the fuck you have to say. No, I don't know if I'll be able to find it.
Who's Jeremy Crawford, and should I be aware of the hatred for him?
He's one of the guys who makes D&D, and he's got the biggest white man forehead you've ever seen in your life.
And he has the
worst takes, even though he has been instrumental in 5th edition D&D. He has some of the worst takes about 5th edition D&D that I've ever heard. That it's like, he has said things along the lines of, if a creature is invisible and you use see invisibility to see the creature, you still get disadvantage to attack it because it's invisible.
That's stupid.
It's so stupid. You can see it.
You can see it. You literally have like negated its invisibility by virtue of the ability used. That's just.
But he's like, no, but it's still invisible though, and it's like, yeah, it is, but I can see it. What? He's one of those people that like he reads the rule and sticks to the rule and has no wiggle room for like, okay, but that doesn't make any sense though. He's like, yeah, but the rule says it, and if the rule says it, it has to be true. No, I can't find a video of just the ad. It's so soulless. It is so strange that I'm like, it's the least inspiring thing I've ever seen. And I can't figure out why they've deliberately made such a crap ad. Like, it wouldn't appeal to anyone that plays D&D. It's made as if to appeal to someone that needs sponges. It's just like, here's the books. You can buy them if you want to. And it's like, no, get off my screen.
That's the thing. I don't. Prior to my ad block, and I didn't see ads because of the ad block, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now I just don't see it as premium, so it's one of those things where like YouTube have managed to finally get a hold of me, and I'm like, you bastards, you absolute bastards.
They'll get you. They'll get you.
The only benefit I've had is that being able to walk outside and like have like if I'm outside, I can like stick on like those things, long form video essay, and because like it's premium version now, I can just like turn the phone off, like put the phone on to like just like lock the phone and still listen to the video essay on the go now, which is like admittedly quite nice as a feature, but like not necessarily a feature I would would justify the cost of. Which is kind of like video essayists should look into maybe like Spotify or something, start releasing their content there, because I imagine they'd get a lot of folks if they could get like an audio version of their video essay, because a lot of video essayists don't really need the functionality of the video to make their essay make sense. You if you're speaking in, you
can follow along with just the
you can
audio.
follow along with just the audio. Like they could probably benefit from that and maybe make money or make some sort of level of like additional like money from that if you put it on Spotify and other platforms without necessarily having to just keep it solely to YouTube. So I think prominent video essayists who don't need a visual component should look into doing that. Yeah, I get like a video essay on Spotify is just a podcast. It would be that, but what I'm saying is like people don't do that, and I think it could be a beneficial thing for them to do that. I don't believe that is a standardized... The format
of a video essay and a podcast is different other than the video and audio aspects.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that like I think video essayists could benefit from doing that. Not so much like it's there isn't a podcast. It's more of this could be a very good way of maybe probably expanding their audience, and be like probably just like people like myself who would probably have like listened to a video essay while admittedly walking the dog, which is what I do when I want to listen to stuff on the go. Is usually when I'm walking the dog. People like myself. I don't know how many of this there is of us there is, but I can't imagine it wouldn't be a small amount, because like a good video essay or a good sort of like a good video essay can go anywhere between like fucking half an hour to literally 2 hours. And I feel like if you're walking a dog,
I've seen longer ones than that as well.
Yeah, like if you're on a walk or like a commute to like your office or something like that, there, having it on Spotify or something like that, there, it could be beneficial, I imagine.
Yeah. Speaking of long form content, Monster of the Week. I've got another big boy for us this time. It's not a dragon. It's not a dragon, but it is one of the big monsters.
Right.
I'm going to tell you what it is, because I'm going to do image stuff slightly differently than we normally do it. I've got something that I think is kind of interesting. This week's Monster of the Week is the Lich. It's the big undead lad themselves, the Lich.
Okay.
Or Leech. Say it however you want to.
I always assume it's Lich.
Yeah, it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an image of the first edition Lich.
Okay.
It is fucking hilarious. And then as we progress through Monster of the Week, I will progressively send you more up-to-date versions of the Lich image.
Okay. Send it on through. I'll get this.
That is the first edition Lich from OG D&D.
Okay, let me get that on screen for us. That is like, how big is that? That see, as a picture concept, that is so small. You'll see what I mean in a second.
Yeah, it's not big because it's from yesteryear. I have bigger ones that we will jump to as we go along.
Screen is the screen on screen the right screen? It is good. Because again,
you can probably do a little zoom on it, but it is pretty small.
There we go. Just as obviously I am.
Yeah, there you go. That's all right.
Most ones, because like again, trying to manage a bunch of doodly do here, so I didn't know if it was the right screen on screen.
Liches are a thing you hear about all the time in D&D and fantasy in general. But it's one of those things that gets thrown out, and it's just like, oh, it's an undead wizard man, and people don't actually, not everyone knows what it is.
Right.
So for those that don't know what a lich, which is pronounced lich, you say it as if it had a T before the C, lich. Also sometimes called a lichni for some reason.
Okay.
Don't know why. They are like universally evil forms of undead spellcasters, usually a wizard, but sometimes they can be a sorcerer or a warlock or a cleric. They don't have to be a wizard. They are super feared because they have evil magic, and it's considered to be like one of the most, if not the most powerful form of undead. Because it's such a big part of D&D and has become a bigger part of D&D as time has gone on. Like the most famous lich is Vecna, who is all over the fucking place these days. Yeah. I didn't mean all over the place like he's a mess. I meant all over the place like he features in a lot of things. There is actually quite a lot of information we have about them, and more information than is just in the monster manual. So I'm going to be pulling information from a bunch of different sources and a bunch of different editions today, compared to what we normally do where we just focus on 5th edition. So if I say something and you look at your monster manual for 5th edition and you go, that's not in there, it's still canon. It's just from a different book, or maybe from a previous edition, but there's been nothing to say that it isn't currently true.
Yeah. So there's going to be an evolution in the lore that we're going to see here.
Yeah. So the way that a lich happens is that it doesn't happen. It's not like a vampire where someone bites you and you turn into one, or if your spirit isn't at rest, your ghost rises up. It's a thing that is deliberate. Like you have to go out determined to become a lich.
Yeah.
And it's not super easy to do. It usually needs you to make like very clear, deliberate, and evil choices to go through the rituals that would be required to become one. There is more than one way to become a lich. Like there's more than one ritual. But I kind of, as a rule, all of them are like secret. It's very hard to get the knowledge. It's not readily available, both because existing liches don't want a lot of them around because they want to feel special, and also because like good aligned forces, gods and adventures and stuff, if they find records of the rituals to do it, they try to destroy it so that there are fewer liches, because liches are bad.
Yeah, so at that point it's more of a prevention rather than eradication.
Yes. Almost all the rituals involve the crafting of a phylactery, which was an idea stolen by a TERF for a series of children's books, which is the idea that you keep a piece of your soul outside of your body.
Right, that right. For a second, I was like, "Where are you going with it?" I was like, "Fucking Jake."
Yeah, I was talking about Roald Dahl and James and the Giant Peach. No, it's the idea that you take a piece of your soul and keep it somewhere outside of your body, so that if you die, your body just regenerates around the piece of your soul that is kept somewhere safe.
Yeah.
So normally it involves the crafting of one or more phylacteries. It involves the brewing and drinking of a potion that contains the blood of an innocent, which is called a lichni potion, apparently.
Okay.
And usually to get the knowledge of the ritual, because it's so hard to get, you would have to make a deal with like a god or a really powerful fiend. Most notably would be Orcus, who is the fiend demon prince, who is like the demon prince of the undead. And that's where Vecna got the ritual from, was from Daddy Orcus.
Okay, Daddy Orcus.
And yeah, you have to be, the other thing that you have to be to become a lich is alive. Like it's you go from alive into an undead. An existing undead can't do it because you've got no soul to chop up.
Yeah.
So you have to start out as a living person to become a lich. If you're already some form of undead, no bueno, it doesn't work.
There has to be a symbolically, like, I'll say human, but it's not necessarily human, but like essentially like a living connection that is tethered, like an anchor point.
What do you mean?
So like, there's one of those things where like humanoid, but like it's kind of like I never see like, I guess when we look at liches, right, it's always like this sort of the transformation of a typical proto-human body rather than say a elf or a
No, it could be an elf, it could be a dwarf, it could be a tiefling. It just has to be someone that is alive with a soul to
so that's what I'm saying. But it's just one of those things, sadly, when we see liches, they're always kind of just human skeleton looking rather than like never like orc skeleton or like or fucking elf skeleton or fucking like that. There's always
at a certain
skeleton.
point of undeath, a lot of the humanoid races look a bit similar because most of the features rot away. But definitely in terms of skeletal structure, and you've hit on something that I think is super interesting, is to show with the lich that you run in your game, like through the shape of the skeleton, like, okay, we're already learning who this person was when they were alive, and that might be information we can use. Like that is clearly an orcish skeleton, or that is they're really big. That's a Goliath skeleton, or that's a gnome skeleton. Like you could infer things from that piece of information.
Yeah.
So I saw that I think Hunter said would to the first edition lich. Would you, first edition lich? Yes or no?
Yeah, I mean,
Smash
why not?
Bros. Yeah,
pretty acceptable smash. Like, I mean, there's nothing that is like, there's nothing stopping me or would prevent me or turn me off.
Mm-hmm. I will send through.
It's just a skeletal boy, you know.
Yeah, he's just a bony lad. I'll send through the second edition lich now.
It's bony, yeah.
And you can contrast and compare. He just looks like someone's granddad.
He looks a bit fleshier on top, right? Or is it just me?
He's got a bit more of a mummy vibe. Like you can see the bandages around the legs and the arms. Does he have Riz? I mean, I think that's a personal thing. Like for you, you can decide.
He turns around and goes, "Skibbity toilet children," and then suddenly the Riz is high in him.
No.
Also, anytime I ever say that term, unironically, I need someone to pull me into the back of a shed and old yeller the shit out of me.
Yeah. There's certain phrases that you hear as an older person that have, that are slang that you're like, actually, that's all right. I'll use that ironically, and then eventually just start using it. And then there's other ones where you just go, nope.
You can kind of tell that Skibbity Toilet is never going to be
it's not going to last long, I don't think. So yeah, that's the second edition lich. There's a bit more flesh on the face, but less everywhere else. Like he's only allowed so much, and he was like, all on the face. I want to keep all the face flesh, please. So yeah, that's the second edition lich.
I feel about that aesthetic choice. I want to keep all the face flesh, please. Seems like just such a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's the second edition lich. So yeah, liches are normally seen as like gaunt and skeletal with like withered flesh pulled tight across visible bones. But they can look different depending on how long they've been dead.
That's
like how long they've been a lich for.
I guess there's a sense of decay comes in over time, so that makes sense.
You can see in this one that this one doesn't have eyes. And that is actually a thing that is described is that if a lich loses their eyes, they just then get like red points of light in the sockets, so you can kind of see they're looking at stuff. And some of them may still, of them may still have hair, because hair, it's a bit of a myth that hair continues to grow after you die, but they may still have hair, they may still have a beard. So they can all look a little bit differently. I don't think it's necessarily 100% true that your hair keeps growing after you die. I think it's that your skin tightens and the hair that was inside your scalp is then pushed out. So
I wasn't aware
like
that
your
the hair
is
was
grown.
perceived to grow. I thought, I did not know there was an ongoing myth that your hair still grew. So just
there is an ongoing
the
myth.
existence of like people believing this was, I thought it was just like once you die, you die. There's no more growth of anything. So you're saying like the myth of your hair still growing. Wait, A, there's a myth that your hair still grows, and B, people believe
it's
that?
not true. Yeah, no, the myth was that after you died, your hair continued to grow because they would find people that had been dead, like had just died, and then notice afterwards like their hair is longer. But it's that the skin tightens on the scalp, which makes the hair look like it's getting longer.
Yeah.
They like a lot of the time liches don't have lips or the necessary organs that you would need to speak, but if they were able to speak in life, they can just produce the sound of their voice magically, even if they don't have a jaw. And it's in fact up to them, which I think is a fun little fact. It's up to the lich whether they move their jaw or not when they talk.
I like
because they're just magically making the sound of their voice. So they could just keep the mouth closed if they wanted to. But I like the idea that some of them are like, no, I can still talk. My jaw works. And it just makes me think of Funaki, that they're actually badly dubbing themselves.
Oh God, I forgot about Funaki. What was the Zang? What was the thing?
Indeed.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good.
That was a funny bit. Like, it was clearly a Vince thing, but it was a funny bit.
Yeah.
The same is true of fingernails. Yes, that is true. And as their body continues to fall apart over the centuries, they may become what is known as a demi-lich, which is just a head. Just floating about.
Okay. That seems unfortunate. I don't know. Like, if I was going to become a lich, I'd want to retain the faculties of my body, essentially.
You would think so, but I guess that's part of the trade-off.
I guess everlasting power in life.
Just be a skull.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Liches are basically always evil because you have to do evil things to become a lich.
Yeah, no one comes a lich for their charity work. Yeah,
and you often have to trade parts of your soul or things that you promise you will do to dark gods or fiends to get the ritual in the first place. But that said, the personality of a lich is largely based on who they were. Liches can be completely individual people. It is not impossible that you could have a lich who maybe had a change of heart after the ritual and started trying to redeem themselves, but generally
highly unlikely, but still possible.
It's very unlikely, but it is possible. If you wanted to tell a story around that, you absolutely could. But yeah, they can be very, very different people with all the foibles and quirks that different people have. They're typically portrayed as like super arrogant, very prideful because they think they have reached the pinnacle of wizardry, which they pretty much have, and are often just seeking to continue increasing their power, increasing their knowledge. So yeah, occasionally you might get a good one, but it's super, super rare. And if you do find a good one, they weren't always that way. They did some fucked shit to get to where they are. So we're a bit wobblier on whether we would do the second edition lich or not.
I think 100% if it was a bit more realistic artwork. I think his artwork's not doing it for him, but the aesthetic works in a more realistic capacity, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here is the third edition lich.
I had a weird question based off the fact that the rituals you're mentioning about there. Part of me wondered, is there a storyline you could feasibly work? Because I don't know what the character sheet looks like, or the monster sheet looks like. Part of me wants to know, or is kind of curious, could you make a lich that was made a lich, like someone who's made a lich, like
against their will?
Against their will, yeah. Like, does the lore allow for that as a concept?
Not particularly that I'm aware of. Like, it's always described as something that evil wizards seek out and have to work really hard to achieve.
Okay.
Even Orcus, who is the like one of the main ones that gives people the ritual on how to become a lich. You have to do a bunch of stuff for Orcus to get the ritual, and then you still have to work out how to do the ritual. Orcus, if Orcus can just turn people into liches, I don't know of an example of it.
Okay.
Interesting, one of the abilities that Orcus does have is the opposite, that Orcus can destroy a lich's phylactery just like that. Doesn't have to be near it, doesn't have to know where it is, can just look at a lich and be like, actually, fuck your life insurance policy, it is cancelled.
Right, okay.
Because that's the thing, if you destroy a lich's phylactery, it doesn't actually kill the lich, it just means you can kill the lich.
Yeah. There, imagine an evil wizard going around, going out to do it on himself and his partner or family. Like a evil wizard does it to one of his loved ones.
I mean, I don't think the ritual quite works like that.
It has to. It pretty much has to be like an accepted contract that you have to accept for yourself. Okay.
I think so. I haven't seen anything that details someone being turned against their will. It could be a thing. I just don't know of any examples of it.
Fair. That's a cool ass picture. That is my background of my PC because the browser takes the background of the PC. That's Black Mountain right there. That's up the road from us. No, it's not. That's an illusionary land. But if I do this, then we have.
This is the 3rd edition lich,
which is more akin to the liches I'm used to, honestly.
Yeah, this is where we start to see sort of the evolution of an actual style of like, okay, we're leaning into an aesthetic here rather than just it's a dead man.
I think the first time I was introduced to liches as a concept was funny enough was World of Warcraft.
I think that's true for a lot of people, to be honest. It's where a lot of people first heard the word.
Yeah, because Arthas.
The Lich King, indeed.
Yep.
That's a slightly different take on it. It's less wizard and more just very powerful undead creature, but it's very close. So yeah, you can see here.
Oh, I didn't even notice Hunter. I'm sorry.
You can see here the focus more on them looking wizardy with the robes. The idea of a crown, that maybe this was a ruler or just someone that thinks super highly of themselves. This is the I like the 1st edition Lich because it's a piece of history. But this is the first of the Lich images where I'm like, okay, now that's a creature that I think is interesting looking.
Yeah. Is this the first, is D&D the sort of progenitor of liches as a creature, or is that come from someone else?
I don't know. I can double check. I mean,
liches as we know them, because I'm sure there's probably something that would could be considered a lich from Tolkien and whatnot. I'm sure there's an element that could be of derived from that.
I mean, the belief I think is that the modern version of the lich is largely attributed to Gary Gygax. There's other people who have had powerful, I'm just looking at it now, have had powerful wizards who can come back from the dead. Clark Ashton Smith, Robert E. Howard had a novella in 1929 called Skullface, and a short story called Scarlet Tears that feature undying sorcerers who retain a resemblance of life through mystical means. But Gary Gygax said that he based the description of a lich on the short story The Sword of the Sorcerer by Gardner Fox from 1969.
Okay.
So there's pieces of the puzzle
that all play into what.
Yeah, the term lich, which is just an old word for corpse. That's what the word means. It's just an old word that means corpse.
So Gygax is sort of the progenitor of the modern day creature as the lich.
Largely, other people used the word to mean like an undead creature. Okay. Ambrose Pierce's The Death of Halpin Fraser features the word in its introduction, just referring to a corpse.
Okay.
H.P. Lovecraft used the word in The Thing on the Doorstep, published in 1937, to refer to a corpse that had been possessed by a sorcerer. And the idea of the demi-lich was drawn from the early Fritz Lieber story Thieves' House. So the word has been used for undead creatures before Gygax, but Gygax is really the one that made it the idea of the wizard that has a phylactery, their soul is stored somewhere else. Okay. From what I can tell, he's the person that kind of introduced this take on it.
This iteration, okay, interesting. That's cool.
In terms of what a lich would get up to after, because for many evil wizards, becoming a lich is kind of the goal for a long time, of becoming immortal, becoming super powerful. And it's kind of like, well, then what? If you've done one of the hardest things for a wizard to do, what do you do after that?
Yeah.
That partly depends on the wizard. Maybe they wanted to become immortal because they were trying to achieve something in particular, and the lich was just a way to get there.
Yeah.
Typically, they become like collectors of arcane knowledge. Like, they want scrolls, they want wands, they want potions. It's more ways to increase their power and their knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
They'll often set up a lair in the same way that like a dragon would, to protect these storehouses of mystical power, because they're very tempting for other evil wizards, for other liches, or just for adventurers. Whatever the lich wanted to become a lich for, it normally then takes a very long view on that plan, because it's like, well, I'm going to live forever, I don't need to rush this. So their plans then shift from the timeline that you would expect from a normal lifespan to, well, I can spend 500 years on this, it's no big deal.
Right.
And they normally like to like set up their layers in pretty isolated places that are hard to reach. And the information for a lich's lair from the basic rules of 5th edition are: a lich often haunts the abode it favoured in life, such as a lonely tower, a haunted ruin, or an academy of black magic. Alternatively, some liches construct secret tombs filled with powerful guardians and traps. Obviously, lots of undead stuff. They get very good at undead stuff. Everything about a lich's lair reflects its keen mind and wicked cunning, including the magic and mundane traps that secure it. Yeah. Undead, constructs, and bound demons lurk in shadowy recesses, emerging to destroy those who dare to disturb the lich's work. So a normal lich in 5th edition has a challenge rating of 21. If you're fighting a lich in its lair, they tell you to consider it to have a challenge rating of 22 instead, to reflect like this is a harder fight.
That's how much the actual lair actions really affect it then, yeah?
It bumps it up by a full challenge rating.
Jeez, okay.
And it means that normally if you killed a lich, you would get 33,000 experience points if you're using experience points. If you kill a lich in its lair, you get 41,000 experience points.
Jesus, so, that's almost like an additional 25% right there.
Yeah, more or less, yeah. It does, of course, have layer actions in its layer, which we love. We love a layer action.
I mean,
so on initiative,
love a layer action. I don't.
We've obviously just come off the back of dragons, so we heard a lot of layer actions. A lich has a higher challenge rating than an adult dragon, so it'll be interesting to hear what you think of its layer actions compared to all the ones we went through recently. On initiative count 20, it can pick one of these 3 effects, but it can't use the same one twice in a row, which is the case always.
Yeah, so we switched it out. We just asked if one of us want to become a US president. Justin, I don't have the mental fortitude for that. There, I don't know how anyone becomes deals with being a US president. It just seems like a life full of literal hell.
Anyone who wants to run for the job shouldn't have the job.
Yeah,
is almost always the rule. There are some rare exceptions, but they never get elected. Bernie Sanders. Yeah. So the first layer action is the lich, or well, not the lich, the DM rolls a d8, and whatever comes up on the d8, the lich gains a spell slot back of that level or lower.
Okay.
So if the lich, because like a lich's spell slots, it has 4 first level spells, 3 second level spells, 3 third level spells, 3 fourth level spells, 3 fifth level spells, 1 6th level spell, 1 7th level spell, 1 8th level spell, and 1 9th level spell. So if it rolls a d8 and it's already used its 8th level spell, it gets it back.
Yeah.
Same
and if it hasn't used its 8th and you've rolled it,
can pick a lower one to get back instead. Okay. So that's just a way that the lich can just like keep up its most dangerous spells throughout the fight, because this is one of the first times we've looked. I think it might be the first time we've looked at a really powerful spellcaster. So it's like the lich does have abilities, but when we look at the stat block, a lot of it is going to be spells that are available to the players. It's just they're being used against the players now,
which is never great. Like the biggest offending action you can do to a player is to counterspell the player who has been using counterspell the whole campaign. How dare you use that? Only I get to use that.
the Lich does indeed have counterspell.
Yeah, of course he does.
Yeah. So that's a fun one. The second one is the Lich targets one creature it can see within 30 feet of it. A crackling cord of negative energy tethers the Lich to the target. Whenever the Lich takes damage, the target must make a DC 18 Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the Lich takes half the damage rounded down, and the target takes the remaining damage. The tether lasts until initiative count 20 on the next round, or until the Lich or the target is no longer in the Lich's lair. So it's splitting the damage it takes in half with a member of the party. Which, if it does this like for the rogue is about to do a sneak attack and it's linked itself to the healer, you're suddenly like, I don't want to hit it now. Do we wait? But then it gets a free turn.
Yeah,
it gives whoever is deciding whether to hit the Lich or not a lot to think about.
That's a really hateful spell.
That's just a layer action.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. It's a really hateful ability you can use.
Yep. It's a good one for if you can put it in before like the barbarian's turn or the rogue's turn or the paladin's turn, and they got some smites in the chamber. They're suddenly going to be like, I'm going to attack, but no smite. Is that the compromise?
It's like,
Whereas if I was playing the character that got linked, I'd be like, I'm fucking hitting you anyway. I don't give a shit. The third lair action is the Lich calls forth the spirits of creatures that died in its lair. These apparitions materialize and attack one creature that the Lich can see within 60 feet of it. So this lair action is just a single target attack. The target must succeed on a DC 18 Constitution saving throw. It takes half damage if it succeeds, and if it fails, it takes 15 D6 necrotic damage, which is an average of 52.
$15, like 1-5.
1-5 D6. Average of 52. It can be higher, can be lower. And you take half if you succeed the save. But because the Lich gets to pick the target, and Liches are super intelligent, they'll be like, who looks like they have less constitution? Not the barbarian. Oh, I was a wizard once. Target the wizard.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's the least beefy? Go for that guy.
Mm-hmm. So those are the three layer actions. One of those will happen every round, but never the same one twice in a row. Mm-hmm. We will look at the Lich's spells like in more detail, but to like give a bit of context for the gain a spell slot back, it could get back Animate Dead, it could get back Fireball, it could get back Disintegrate, it could get back Finger of Death, it could get back Dominate Monster or Power Word Stun. Like it has that one. At first you go, it's the one that I don't care about as much because it doesn't directly affect me. But then when you realize the things it lets the Lich do, it's not great.
I don't like Disintegrate. Don't like it.
A Lich is gonna hit you with it.
It's a scary spell. If you're killed with that spell, you don't have a body anymore. You don't even have like the ability to resurrect. That is the game over spell. If you're killed with that spell, like you don't. Same
with Finger of Death.
Yeah,
so it has multiple ways it can perma-kill you.
Like you don't get your party members don't get to keep your corpse and take you back to the shrine 2 days later after a hardy fucking travel across the mountains. No, your body evaporates. It literally just vaporizes. You Thanos out of the game once you die of that spell.
Yep. So I weirdly think that the least bad option from the layer actions is the split the damage one, because that only fucks with you if you then hit the Lich and you're like, we're going to spend a turn healing or doing buff spells or deep, like we can do a turn of no damage, whereas the other two are just Lich gets strong or Lich hurts you.
Yeah, no, I hate that too, Hunter. It's like my least favorite like spell in D&D because it is just like rules written permadeath the spell.
Yep. If it makes you feel any better, there are downsides to being a Lich.
Okay.
In that the ritual is not one and done.
Yeah.
You need to do stuff to keep it maintained.
Yeah.
You need to keep special conjurations and enchantments up to maintain your undead form. There's a certain spell they have to cast on their phylactery every 777 days, or it doesn't work anymore.
Interesting.
They need to keep feeding the phylactery new souls to keep it charged up with soul juice.
Right.
So they have to use the imprisonment spell to do that. If they don't do that, their body starts to like fall apart more and more rapidly.
Right.
Some liches are also known to eat soul larvae, which are a weird kind of bug, in order to maintain their form.
Oh, just like Death Stranding.
Sure. I will trust you on that as one of the only people I know who has played that game to completion.
It's a weird little thing where like there's like little literal worms they eat that can like replenish their, I can't remember if it's health or if it's like stamina or something, but like yeah, it's like weird little like it's weird little worms that appear after a time fall. Ugh. Fucking game.
So yeah, if a lich doesn't do all these things to maintain its form,
yeah,
its body and sanity will fall apart after roughly 900 years, with like a decline across those 900 years. So it's not just like, oh, I did the really hard to do ritual and now I'm fine. It's no, there's a lot of upkeep. And if you can fuck with a lich long enough, you don't even have to kill it. It just loses the ability to keep itself going because it isn't able to pull together the time it needs to do these rituals.
That's weird. You could actually drive a lich insane.
Yeah.
Just be a minor inconvenience and harassment for several like years. Like what was it, 700 plus days?
So after 777 days, if they haven't cast Nulathos 9 Men on their phylactery, the phylactery doesn't work anymore and they would need to make a new one. But if they don't do all the things they need to do to keep themselves together, if they don't practice good self-care, they lose their sanity over the period of 900 years, which is still a really long time.
Yeah.
A lich can only have one phylactery at a time. But if their phylactery is destroyed, they can make another one.
Okay.
And the only way to like fully kill one is to destroy the phylactery and then kill the lich.
Weird point. In my opinion, Ice King from Adventure Time is lich adjacent. I'm trying to remember who that is because it's been like 10 plus years since I've watched Adventure Time. Do you watch Adventure Time?
No.
I mean, I think it's pretty normal to associate them with ice. I feel like, I mean, the image we have here, Hunter has them lich stand in what looks like to be an icy barren wasteland.
So, 3rd edition lich, Smash?
Yes. I mean, again, there's no reason why not, you know?
All right. Let's see what you think of the 4th edition.
Okay.
Which leans further into the vibe that the 3rd edition one starts to give off. And is also flashing a bit of leg.
Weird opinion. And I guess you'll see what I mean in a second, but like, weird opinion. This feels like more like fan art.
Sure. I can confirm it is the official 4th edition artwork.
It's there's something about it that looks more fan arty to me than normal.
Okay.
I think it's the skull. I don't know. There's something about it. It's like, oh, this is not official art. This is like very well done, like fan art.
I mean, keep in mind they use different artists across different editions and even within the same edition. So there's different art styles and takes on these things. I do like that he's given a bit of jazz leg. I appreciate
there is
that.
a bit of that there, a little bit of that there. I like that. Weirdly, I like the almost Dracula-esque style, like big
the high collar.
High collar.
Mm-hmm. And you can see that they lean more into the crown thing. It's like the crown becomes part of the image of a lich.
Yeah. He's like man, it doesn't the garb almost feels rogue-esque in nature if you like factor in a little bit of the robing. It's quite like a lot of tight bodice, a lot of very like tight and knee pads and stuff on the leg.
So my guess is that is in an effort to keep the body together.
Oh yeah.
That it's a practical thing, but that's just my take on it.
I can see where you're coming from though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you notice, he does have in his clothing the shape of a heart over his pelvis. So
it's the area.
He
right
loves
there.
to fuck. He loves to fuck.
That's the money shot.
He fucks. So liches rarely leave their layers unless there's a reason they need to, like if they're going to gain more arcane knowledge. They normally only keep the company of whatever creatures they have protecting their lair. They're not social. They don't usually hang out together. So normally they only spend their time around like constructs like flesh golems or animated corpses, flame skulls, wraiths. They do sometimes work alongside demons or devils as like other avenues to power. Cultists of Orcus who worship the fiend of undeath because maybe the lich made a deal with Orcus and now they have to work with the cult to get Orcus some stuff. They sometimes work with other intelligent undead for the same reasons, like vampires, but not very often. Sometimes they make copies of themselves called false liches to defend their lairs while they're away. They do like a little clone boy.
Right.
And they were also sometimes drawn to what's called an atropal, which is it's like a stillborn god, but it doesn't happen very often. And they use what's called nightmares as steeds, which is basically a ponyta from Pokemon. It's a fiery horse. But the fur is black instead of white. But other than that, it's a ponyta. I personally prefer to imagine them just on a normal ponyta because that is funny to me. But
so probably unsurprising to you right now, I'm still kind of 404 and over the concept of stillbirth god or stillborn god, because that is such a as like part of me is just like I'm trying to wrap my head around like stillborn as in like ascension, stillborn as in birth. Like I mean,
I think we might have done an Atropal as Monster of the Week one time.
Really?
Yeah, I'll send you the art, but I think did we not do this? And it was one of the first ones that we were like, no thank you. Like, no smash. The like undead god fetus.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, we thought it was too much like a fetus.
Yeah. It kind of is a fetus.
Yeah, it was
because that was the one I busted out when it was like we'd said smash to every single monster I'd brought, and I was like, I'm going to prove there are monsters that we will say no to.
Yeah, no, that one was like Hunter was like basically the big fetus.
Another note that is here on some of the information that I have: liches can't have kids. Surprise, surprise. They are dead. Their reproductive organs fall off.
Whoa, what? Sorry, what?
Well, they're rotting, so...
That's unfortunate.
So although liches can't do that, they're not totally useless. If you, as an adventurer, managed to kill a lich, whether you've killed it permanently or not, you can actually use the body for some stuff. You can grind up the bones, and they make great components for casting necromantic spells, like Soul Siphon or even just Chill Touch. the way I, as a DM, would run that would be like, okay, yeah, that either serves as the component, or if you already have the normal components, it maybe gives the spell a bit of extra juice a certain number of times before it's used up. You can also use the bones of a lich to make spooky wands. Maybe they do stuff, maybe they don't, but spooky. Super fun. Liches always seem to have really weird names. Like names that you're like, this was never the name of a normal person. You never get one just called Stephen. They always are called things like, so these are actual liches. Acerarak, Alokir, Arklam Greeth, Asberon, Amvor. Like none of these are just guys. Do you know what I mean? None of these are running fruit stands.
I'm waiting for someone to go, oh no, the lich, Castral Syntax is coming after us.
Druth Dairn, Larlock, Manferric III, Morik Stormhand. I'm trying to see if there's one here that it sounds kind of normal. Like Valindra's Shadow Mantle, you were always going to be a lich. It's like, you know, when parents give their kid a name and you're like, you are setting this kid up for a certain life.
The chat is fucking unhinged at the minute. Between slipping on back doors, salt shakers full of bone dust, and Manferric the Third, I don't even know where to begin.
This one's kind of slightly less lichy. Zengi. Just you know, we Zengi from the Falls.
You know, I like Zengi.
Yeah. Also, it was known as the Witch King of Vasa, who conquered Damara in the mid 14th century DR. So, still an evil person.
So, Diddy, what is this Grand Lich? Don't go to school tomorrow.
So there are actually more than one kind of lich. I won't give the art for all of these because we may do some of these in a future monster of the week. There's the Alhun, which is if a mind flayer becomes a lich. That's as bad as you would expect it to be.
That does sound pretty fucking awful.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate it. Again, I'm not over the mind flare. Mind flares are on my mind because of the thing I told you earlier, and it's annoyed me deeply.
Oh yeah, I get what you mean. So yeah, there's Alhuns, which are mind flayers but liches. There is the Bane Lich, which is if a cleric of the god Bane becomes a lich in a very specific way, they become a very specific kind of lich.
The reason I realized like it's a lich if like he was on steroids and from Gotham.
Yeah, it's Bane as a lich. I have become undead.
Yes. You have merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it.
My phylactery was born in the darkness.
Yes.
Bring me a sandwich. There is the pseudo lich, which is where someone tries to become a lich and their soul doesn't agree to it. I don't really know how that works. Where they become a lich, but for a really short period of time because their soul goes, no, don't like this.
I like that idea as a concept. It's like I don't consent, so you don't get.
Yeah. There is the Lich Lord, which is like Lichdom Plus.
Oh, okay.
Where it's like I became a lich and then I became an extra lich. There's the Arc Lich, which is where it's like it's the good version. It's not what we talked about where someone becomes a lich and then changes their mind about being evil and tries to do good. It's like a good wizard who found an alternative version that isn't super evil.
Okay.
And then
subscription Lich Plus.
Is a Baelnorn a lich or is it another thing completely? A Baelnorn? Let me.
I'm gonna let you Google that in case I stumble into something that could be a spoiler for Monster of the Week.
A Baelnorn, from what I can tell, was an elven archlich who didn't use phylacteries. So it's kind of lich, but it's closer to an arch lich, like the good version, than it is to the regular version. I think. It's not something I read a lot about. So it's similar, but it's different. And then also there are, and you've probably heard this word before, Dracoliches.
Yes, I've definitely heard that one. Well, that's not a new one.
Which is a dragon that is like, do you know what's great? Living forever.
Which is wild, because dragons do live for a stupid long time anyway.
They typically live somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 years.
Yeah.
Which is a very long time, but it's not forever. A Dracolich is a dragon that goes through the process of becoming a lich and is really bad. Don't fight them. If you're set up to fight a Dracolich by your DM, don't do it.
Just tell them you do not consent and you go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a second I was assuming like a Dracula. A Dracula? That seems like a wrong way to use of that term.
Dracolich. Drake. It's basically Draco Lich.
Yeah.
Draco Lich is actually probably how it's pronounced. I will check. It's not telling me. But anyway, there's different kinds of Lich. Speaking of different kinds of Lich, here is the art for the 5th edition Lich. So it feels like 4th edition was a bit of a miss. We didn't love it. So this is the most up-to-date artwork of a Lich, and it actually feels like they've stripped it back a little bit.
Oh yeah, this is
That's not Vecna.
No.
Vecna has different artwork, but it's you can see that they have gone a slightly different direction.
It does feel very oh god, it does feel like a very much a throwback.
Like they ditch a lot of the elements that we saw in the 3rd into 4th edition Lich. There it is. Like they get rid of the crown, they get rid of the tighter clothing, much more like red wizard robe kind of thing.
Sorry.
How do you feel about the shift in vibe?
I'm still very much caught up on the Draco Lich Malfoy thing, so that's fucking hilarious. But so like, part of me does quite enjoy sort of the more stylized in a way that a wizard would be kind of stylized. Like it feels like a wizard who's achieved a level of deadism, and it feels like it's still his wizard's robe that he had in life.
Yep.
It doesn't feel like he suddenly has just taken on a new set of clothes because he's now undead. It feels like, well, no, these were my clothes and they're still my fucking clothes, but I've achieved a ascended form.
Yeah. I feel like his wee head looks cold. He's got no hat, he's got no crown. I'm like, give him something.
But he's got those sweet dots on his head. They keep him warm. That's all radiators.
Is that what that is? Is that what we're deciding? Is that canon now? He's got little radiators in his head?
Radiators in his head, yeah.
I get what Hunter means, that they look more like they're the member of a cult rather than the leader of something.
Yeah.
The crown really sold, I'm the one in charge.
Yeah. I do like the flowing robes, though.
I like the connective sleevey bits to the tabard. That's nice.
I like that. I'm not sure if that's his rib cage in the middle or if it's just like very intricate. I
think it is meant to be his rib cage.
You know what? Yeah, so he can't. Yeah, you know, I get very much Ghost the band, like Papa Emeritus. I get Ghost vibes from him, and I like that. I think I quite like that.
Okay.
Because I like the band Ghost, and it's kind of like, okay, no, actually, now you say that.
It does look more religious. It looks more almost papal.
Yeah, yeah, and I kind of like that. I think that.
But works. I still think you could give him the Pope hat, and
give
now
him
we're talking.
Give him a big hat. Give him a big, silly, ostentatious hat. Yeah,
that's all I want for him: is a hat, a crown, something. Put a propeller on it. I don't care.
A nice, ornate but slightly corrupted like staff. Maybe that was originally like
he doesn't look like he has much
a symbol, like originally like a symbol of like higher like wisdom or like higher ascended godhood, but then tainted a little bit, you know.
Taint?
Yes.
So yeah, the Lich wizard does bad ritual, continues to be bad man, is kind of the short version.
Yes.
It's just main things to remember if you're encountering them as a player. Killing them doesn't kill them. You need to destroy the phylactery first and then kill them.
Oh, is it like the thing that spell you can do where your body reverts to the other?
Oh, the clone spell. It's
Yeah.
kind of similar. It's kind of like that.
Okay.
So if you kill a lich, let me see if it says in the
Titanium, that fucking red dot comment, fucking.
doesn't say it in the rules, but yeah, if you kill a lich, it will just then respawn where
Yes.
the phylactery is.
Right.
You
so
have
like a
to
recall point, like almost then.
Yeah, it's a recall point. So you have to destroy the phylactery first and then kill the lich. If your plan is to kill the lich and then destroy the phylactery, you're basically not gonna have time.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty quick. So, and normally they won't be anywhere near each other. So by the time you got from the lich to where they keep the phylactery, they'd have respawned.
So it kind of begs the question. It makes me ask, like, if the phylactery is destroyed, does that alert the lich? Like, does the lich have like some sort of like psychic radar to know the
I
phylactery?
believe the lich would know because it's meant to
Okay.
be a bit of its soul. Like, it would feel it.
Yeah. Okay.
To get into the stats of the lich,
Okay.
they are a medium undead. So they're just a regular sized dude.
Medium,
or
upper medium.
dudette or non-binny, like whatever. They are typically any evil alignment. They have an armor class of 17 if they are not wearing any special items or armor or whatever.
That's not bad, actually.
Yeah, it's not too bad. You as the DM could choose, like, oh no, I'm going to give him like a ring of protection. I'm going to buff that up, and then that loot will be there for the players afterwards if they win. So you can toy with this a little bit. Challenge rating 21, unless they're in their lair, then it's challenge rating 22. How many hit points do you think a lich has? I'll give you
326.
326. Do you want the answer, or do you want to do a bit of Bruce's Price is Right?
I would like the Price is Right.
Lower.
287.
Lower.
Oh, I guess because he can always like 248.
Lower.
No, really?
Lower.
Sub 200. 174.
Lower.
Okay, there's a catch here.
Challenge rating 21.
120
big boy.
fucking one.
Higher than that.
148.
A little bit lower. It's 135. 135 hit points.
What's the catch? Because there's a catch.
Yeah, that is really low. If you're at the level where you're fighting a lich, like
A decent
the paladin
smite would
can
kill
pump
that.
that out in one round.
Yeah, a decent smite does that.
It is very low. We will get to some of the tricks that it has at its disposal in a little bit. Speed of 30 feet, very normal.
Yeah.
Strength of 11, dexterity of 16,
Yeah.
Constitution of 16,
Yeah.
Intelligence 20. He's meant to be a very smart wizard. Wisdom 14, Charisma 16. You could play around with those if you decided that your lich was like a sorcerer in life. You could move the intelligence score to the charisma score. Like, you can play around with it. Saving throws. Constitution saving throw gets a +10.
Okay. Decent.
Wisdom saving throw gets +9.
Decent.
Intelligence saving throw gets +12, which again, that's what its whole deal is.
Makes sense. Yeah.
If you need to make skill checks for your lich, and you're rolling a perception skill check, it gets a +9. So
Yeah.
you might be able to sneak up on one. Insight, it gets a +9. You might be able to trick one. History, it gets a +12. Arcana,
sense.
it gets a +19, which is insane.
Okay. That makes
If it
sense.
rolls a
though.
2, it gets a 21.
Yeah, it does. That's how
Yep.
math works.
Hi, Frank. Some of the things that help it stay alive. It is resistant to cold damage.
Yes.
It is resistant to lightning damage.
That makes sense.
It is resistant to necrotic damage.
That is interesting that it's not immunity, but okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought that as well. It feels like it should be immune to necrotic. It is, however, immune to poison damage.
Makes sense.
And it is immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons. But by the time you're fighting a lich, if you don't have magic weapons, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? It is also immune to being charmed, being exhausted, being frightened, being paralyzed, and being poisoned.
Makes sense.
They have a passive perception of 19, so you can totally sneak by one of these things. Just don't use invisibility because it has true sight out to 120 feet, so it will see you. It will also see straight through any like shape-shifting, transformation stuff. It will see you for who you are.
But don't worry, because remember that part where the guy earlier says that, like, regardless if you're invisible, it's still disadvantage?
Oh, you'll still get disadvantage to attack you, because apparently that's how the fucking rules work, but...
Yeah.
And this one's kind of interesting. Like, normally when we look at the languages a creature knows, it's like, it knows this language and this language, or it knows these languages, or it speaks every language, whereas the Lich is common, plus up to 5 other languages that the DM chooses.
Which is interesting, because that then can play into a lot of the history and the lore and the individual character at that point.
Yep. So I quite like that it's like, well, it's whatever languages the DM thinks this Lich knows. And I'm like, Dungeons and Dragons, you didn't need to tell me that. I'm the DM. I'll decide. Don't tell me it's whatever I decide. I will decide. Proficiency bonus plus 7. Yeah. So yeah, all that is like, yeah, whatever.
You've never seen this before, Time Guys? Well, glad to have you here, dude. We do this. We do this. I say every Monday, but Mondays
regularly on Mondays.
Regularly, sometimes life gets in the way sometimes. We don't always be able to do it on a Monday, but our Monday show is D&D talk show. So, it's a tabletop RPG talk show. It's just Monster of the Week.
Yeah, it's on D&D
factor
exclusive.
Heavily. Monster of the Week factors heavily into more D&D style monsters and stuff, but we talk about a bunch of different things tabletop related. So I'm glad you're enjoying it, Time Kids.
Yeah. So 135 hit points. It's not that many.
That's wild. That is wild. That because again, I was expecting a level of some more actual immunities rather than resistances to kind of I was expecting that to factor in to reduce the risk factor. There's got to be another catch here, though.
Not really. There kind of is, but also not in the way that you're maybe thinking. So it does have legendary resistance, which means that if it fails a saving throw 3 times a day, it gets to just decide to succeed instead. That helps, but it doesn't. Yeah. That's for against mostly spells.
Yeah.
It's not that big a deal. The main thing is rejuvenation. If it has a phylactery, a destroyed lich gains a new body in 1 to 10 days. You roll a d10 to see how many days it takes. It gets all its hit points back as soon as it respawns, and the new body appears within 5 feet of wherever the phylactery is. Now, a lich will normally keep its phylactery in a different place than you will find the lich.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just like a different room. Normally, it'd be like the other side of the planet because they don't want to ever be caught out.
Yeah.
If the phylactery gets destroyed, they want to have enough time before someone gets to them to make a new one. If they die, they want to be wherever the phylactery is, far enough away that the party then can't find them.
Yeah.
So killing one lich one time and causing it to respawn, apart from what the lich can do in terms of spells and stuff, which we'll get to, it's not as hard as you would think. It's more the fact that it is never a permanent solution and it's going to keep coming back.
So at that point, it's like, I guess anyone who's ever faced a lich, it almost becomes a grander quest line after you killed it once, because it's like you killed it once, but then it's like the knowledge is then given to you. It's like, like Hunter says,
then you pissed off a lich.
Yeah, homeboy's pissed and he's now at the other side of the world. You gotta find out where that phylactery is, kill it, and then kill him.
Yeah. The problem is you've made an enemy if you didn't already have them as an enemy.
Yeah.
And they're an enemy that it's like you need to, if you've killed them once, it's no good then like looking through the layer to try and find notes about where the phylactery is, unless it's like it's 2 days away and you better hope the DM rolled like a 5 on that dice to see how long the lich takes to come back. It's normally, okay, now we need to try and figure out where the lich is going to move the phylactery to.
Yeah.
To get there sometime when the lich isn't there, destroy it, but also know exactly where the lich is and then get there really quickly. But at this level of the campaign, you're typically going to have good movement options. You're going to have teleportation, you're going to have plane shift, you're going to have like tree stride, travel via plants. You're going to have favors that you can call in with gods or dragons to get places really quickly. So you can
My curiosity is peaking here, but I'll let you finish.
You can maybe try and do the race to the phylactery thing. I don't know exactly how long it takes to make a new phylactery, but your best bet is almost always to destroy the phylactery first and then get to the lich than it is to kill the lich and then try to get to the phylactery before the lich respawns. Because the very best case scenario is you manage to get there before the lich respawns, you destroy the phylactery, you're good. What is most likely to happen is that you get there and the lich and the phylactery are already gone.
Yeah.
What could maybe happen is you get there in between the time when the lich has respawned, but before they've left.
Yeah.
So it could be that you just then have to fight the lich again and then destroy the phylactery straight away.
So I have a question. Does there have to be limitations of what the phylactery size or object looks like? Like, do we have like a preset understanding of what a phylactery should look like?
We'll get that information for you now. Because it was not a thing I thought to check, but it is a thing I should have thought to check.
Because I've got ideas.
Where is it? Crafting of a phylactery. Stop moving. Every phylactery is unique in nature, defense, and means of destruction. So it's not even always super. It's not like smash with hammer every time.
Yeah.
Making a phylactery was a highly expensive and taxing effort, requiring a high degree of spellcasting ability and a total materials value at approximately 100,000 to 120,000 gold pieces. So you need to have a lot of money.
Right. Yeah, makes
While
sense.
any object could be chosen to be the lich's phylactery, it must be made of a solid material, not wood, and be of a high quality craftsmanship. So it has to be one solid material, which the bigger it is becomes more expensive and harder to hide. So normally it'd be quite small and something they could hide away somewhere.
That works for what my logic is.
It could be non-magical or already be a magical item. It can cost no less than 2,000 gold pieces, not counting the cost of the actual ritual. So it can be any size. Oh, and it takes 10 days to make one, apparently.
So I'm going to speak to the chat right now. Chat, what you do is you find the phylactery, you fucking steal it, you bring it to the lich's location, you look that son of the bitch right in the eye, and you smash it right in front of him and go, bitch, what you gonna do now? And then you fucking kill him. That
is, in theory, a good plan. I will read the section I have here on a phylactery's defenses. Liches would often seek to guard their phylacteries thoroughly against any attack and place them in secure and secret locations. We already knew that. So you're basically going to have to go through a whole dungeon just to get to the phylactery. I mean... yeah, you're going to have to do a whole dungeon just to get a phylactery.
Yeah.
So there's going to be monsters, there's going to be traps, all that good stuff. But sometimes a thing that liches were known to do was to make their phylactery look like a very normal thing that was very hard to destroy, and then just let it out into the world so that even they wouldn't know where it was. So they would like pick, like, say, a diamond, and be like, this is my phylactery, and then they would just let it circulate into like a city's wealth so that they couldn't know where it was, so that no one could figure out where it was. So the only way then to find it would be to use a really powerful spell. It does work for the butt plug theory, you're right.
It's like a bedazzled butt plug.
Yeah. So long as it's
like
expensive enough and made of one material.
Like just a jewel on the top.
But you know what I mean? So that then
Yeah.
it's better hidden, even if it's not better defended. But a lich needs to have space around where the phylactery is to respawn into, so they can't just bury it. It has to have like room around it. So putting it in someone's butt kind of messes with that plan
Just
a little bit. I know that you're thinking that it then just spawns into their colon or their asshole or something, but it wouldn't work.
Just respawn mounting someone.
No, it just wouldn't work. Otherwise, it's a very funny idea.
It's an incredible idea. But yeah, okay, so that's interesting because again, like my idea as a party member, but like find the phylactery.
That is definitely the way to go. Is so that the lich doesn't then know it's been destroyed.
Yeah, you take it with you. You take that thing to him. You taunt him with it, and then that either puts him into a very big bargaining state, or it infuriates him, one or the other. But then you smash it in his face, you na him, and then you kill him. You have your paladin come in and go smite.
So there's some versions of Lich lore that says that they work like the Undertaker's urn. That if you have it, you get to tell the Lich what to do. That is not the norm that has been explored in 2006 book Dragons of Faerun. But it is a thing that has been done before. Again, finding the phylactery is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Now, straight away, you might think, there is a spell called Locate Object. So if I know roughly, like if I know the city, I can just like walk around and minesweep for it.
Yeah.
Locate Object does not work on Lich's phylacteries unless a god casts the spell.
At which part you need a favor from a god. Or a divine sort of patronage to one, which I guess if you're like a paladin or a cleric, being like a patron saloon or something, you might be able to like say, hey, I'm trying to take evil out of this
intervention
world.
Is an ability the clerics have.
Yeah. Can you please give me this help? I am doing it on your behest.
But normally they look like a little box or a jar or like a jewel on a necklace. I
think your
finding
idea
them
is
is definitely
smart.
the hardest part.
I think your idea is like, it's really smart. Just make it like a diamond and put that into like a city circulation. Yeah, because I could end up on like a nobleman's like neck.
And no one would know what it was.
And no one
it's just a jewel.
Yeah, it's just a jewel, or like someone's
point,
ring.
It's like you find out, maybe the information you get is, it's the Lich's phylactery is an emerald, and you're like, okay, so I have to check every fucking emerald in the world, because it's either that you go the defense route where you put it somewhere really secure, but adventurers are going to be like, there's a fucking dungeon here. What's in here? I'm going in. I want to find out what's in there, and it's possible an adventurer could find a phylactery that way without even knowing. What it's connected to.
Oh man, what if it's like? What if an adventurer picks it up, not knowing, like, and thinks it's just a magical item, like a ring, and just say it
can be a magic item that they've used, so you can get the benefits of the magic item, but it's also a phylactery.
Yes, yeah.
And then the Lich dies randomly, nothing to do with your party, and is like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Yeah.
Yep. So there's a lot of fun ideas that you can play around with. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do.
I love tabletop RPGs. They're a vehicle for calamity, and I love it.
Yeah. Going back to the stats though.
Yeah.
It is considered the Lich is considered an 18th level spellcaster. Its spellcasting ability is intelligence. Spell save is DC 20, and if it's trying to hit you with a spell attack, it gets a plus 12 to the rolls. It has a bunch of spells. I'm gonna read out the spells and we'll touch on some of them, but there's too many for us to like go into a deep dive on what each spell does in a lot of detail. I thought it was a normal butt plug, I swear.
Screeching the rogue's head.
So it has 3 cantrips and it can cast these at will.
Right.
Mage Hand, classic.
Prestidigitation
for when it wants to do party tricks, I guess. And Ray of Frost. So it just has a damaging cantrip that it can pop out anytime it needs to.
Surprised there's no Toll of the Dead, but then again, I just have a soft spot for Toll of the
Toll
Dead.
of the Dead is really more of a cleric thing.
I have a soft spot for that. You know that.
I know you do. It has 4 first level spell slots, and it can cast either these spells once each or the same spell 4 times, whatever way it wants to. Detect magic, magic missile.
You know what? A classic, but a goodie.
It's reliable. You don't need much else. Thunder wave if it needs to give itself a bit of room.
Some space. Yeah.
And shield, which is a reaction spell where
really
it can just pop its AC up by 5. So that's a way it has a little bit of survivability.
Yeah, really, really lovely little bit of.
I think people often forget about shield is not only does it as a reaction increase your AC by 5, it also just cancels the effect of the magic missile spell against you.
I just love that arcane trickster rogues. Right?
No. The fun thing is, because you've played Baldur's Gate 3, you know these spells better than you maybe would have done if we had done this like a year ago.
Yeah. Arcane Trickster Rogue is great. Like, that's such a great reaction.
Shield is such a good spell.
It's such a good thing. It's like, oh, you hit. No, you don't.
No, thank you.
No,
Pass,
thank you.
please.
Pass.
It has 3 second level spell slots. The spells that it knows at second level are Acid Arrow.
That's Melt Sasa, yeah.
Indeed, yeah. Detect Thoughts.
Makes
Invisibility.
Sense, oh, that's horrible, but yes.
Yeah, because even if you can see it, you still get disadvantage on them.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And Mirror Image, which does fuck with the ability to kill it a little bit because it makes it harder to hit. Ronan... No.
Yeah, I love that spell.
No.
Such a good spell.
No.
That's a
it has 3 third level spell slots. And remember, although so it could use all those second level spell slots.
Yeah.
But that layer action means that it can keep getting some of these spell slots back.
Oh, because like Melt
So it's not even
really
like you can.
good, actually.
So Mirror Image is a great spell. So it's not even like you can.
Spell.
It's not even like you can lean on attrition and wear the Lich down. It's like, no, it's going to keep getting these spells back. At third level, it has Animate Dead, which makes sense.
That's like if it's not.
Which again, although it doesn't have a lot of hit points, if it can keep making buddies to fuck with the action economy.
Yeah.
We talked about that before. Dispel magic, so it can just get rid of your protective magics. Fireball.
A hateful spell in general. Just a hateful spell.
Fun one to turn against players that have been using it for a couple of years in a long campaign, though, and be like, you know that spell you guys love? You won't love it anymore.
Yeah, it's just a counter spell.
And yeah, the other third level spell it has is counter spell. So,
which is like, you're not allowed to use that on me. I use that on you.
We've talked before about how mean counterspell can be used when used by a DM to counterspell things like Revivify, big healing spells. Because it has a legendary resistance, it doesn't need to counterspell the spells that fuck with it. It wants to counterspell the spells that help you.
Yeah.
Then at 4th level, again, it has 3 slots. Dimension Door. Great spell, gives it mobility, and lets it also at any point of the fight just go, no, I'm gonna leave. If you've already destroyed my phylactery, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Fuck off, and then I'll make a new one. And the other 4th level spell it has is Blight, which can do some chunky damage.
Blight is evil. Great spell. Evil spell.
Mm-hmm. Up at 5th level spell slots, it again has 3 slots. Only 2 spells though. Scrying, which it is unlikely to use in combat, but does mean
that's the communication long distance thing, right?
No, scrying is like spying on things from long distance. It's like a magic drone.
Right. Okay.
So you wouldn't use this in combat, but it gives you as the DM justification for the Lich knows what you're planning. It can check in on its phylactery. There is a save against scrying. What if the economy goes haywire and whatever the phylactery was is no longer worth 2,000 gold?
That's such a good question.
It is a good question. You could attempt economic warfare against the Lich to devalue whatever you know its phylactery is made of.
Oh, I hate that. I love it at the same time.
I think that all that matters is what the phylactery was worth when it was made. but it is a very fun idea to play around with. Is to like be like, no, I'm going to bankrupt the Lich.
It's like the Lich's greatest enemy, late stage capitalism.
It's all of our greatest enemy, really. Yeah. That's the final monster of the week. So yeah, it can use scrying to like spy on the party, to get information, check on its phylactery. And the other 5th level spell it has is one that I think you will also know, Cloud Kill.
Yeah, that's a really fucking fucked one as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's got all the fucky spells. It's got all the ones that you just really
Of course it does.
All the ones you really don't want to ever have to face. It's got them all.
After that, I think you'll be slightly less familiar with some of the spells, because Baldur's Gate 3 spells only reach a certain
they go
level because of the level cap. At 6th level, it only has one 6th level spell slot, which it can regain.
Mm-hmm.
Globe of Invulnerability. Which is just
I know that one. You like basically nothing gets in, nothing gets out. It's pretty much
it's you can't hurt me. And the other 6th level spell is, of course, Disintegrate. Yeah, there's a big chunk of damage, and if it kills you, there is no body to bring back to life. You are dusted.
Like, Disintegrate is the single, like, again, like I said it earlier, it's the spell I hate the most in D&D, because it is just the, like, if it kills you, that is a hard kill on your character, no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, that's just also, you roll another character. That's all that is.
And then also, like you said, like, even on this like core design level, it is designed to be just such a chunky damage dealer, so the chances of you dying from it are higher.
Yeah. It's the stop having fun button. It can be. At 7th level, it only has one spell slot and knows 2 spells. The first one is Plane Shift, which takes 6 seconds to cast, and it's that the Lich just changes what plane of reality it's on. So it's, again, if you turn up with the phylactery and go, I'm going to destroy this, and then you destroy it, the Lich will be like, all right, I'm going to the Feywild. I'm going to one of the hells. I'm going to the elemental plane of fire. I'm just not going to be here until I make another one.
I'm not dealing with you.
So on top of everything else, on top of planning the phylactery and how to get it and how to destroy it and get to the Lich in time before it makes another one, you need to make sure you have an ability to make sure it doesn't get away. And between Dimension Door, Invisibility, Plane Shift, it has options to just get out of the fight that you need to have a counter for.
Kill it and then destroy its phylactery immediately. Like, you take it with you, don't tell them you have it, you kill them and then destroy it.
That is the other option, is that you have it on you, but you keep it secret. So the Lich is like, I'm fine, I got my phylactery somewhere, I don't need to worry about this. And not knowing that as soon as you've killed them, you're like, fucking smash this shit. To the body, and then also the phylactery. Because, cheeky smash. To practice with Femboy Riz, it would work on me. If I was a Lich, I'd be like, no, hang on. What are we doing?
The Lich would be like, skippity toilet.
The other 7th level spell it has is Finger of Death, which also takes one action. I will go into this one in a little bit more detail because it's a very fucky spell. It's one action. The target makes a Constitution saving throw, which for the Lich, I think we said was DC 20 or 21. If you fail the save, you take 7d8 plus 30 necrotic damage. So that averages out at 62 points of damage is the average, which is like bad. It is a very fucky sex move, it's true.
It's not what you expect to do with your partner.
Like the Finger, yes, of Death. So yeah, it averages out to about 62 points of damage, which is chunky, but it's not awful at this level. The problem is that if you get killed by Finger of Death, you immediately become a zombie under the Lich's control, which means that you cannot be resurrected. And we talked the other week about the monster that could turn people into zombies. It's exactly the same deal. So it's a spell that he'll want to hold in reserve for once the party starts looking a bit low on hit points, try and knock someone down, make a zombie permanently killed. It's a bad time.
Awful time.
At the 8th level, it has 1 spell slot, but again, it can regain it through the layer action. The first one is Dominate Monster, which is basically like Dominate Person, but on monsters. This would be for if you like summoned a monster to help you fight the Lich could turn it around on you. If you brought like a really powerful ally, like a dragon, like a metallic dragon to help you defeat the Lich could take control of the dragon. And the other spell that it's more likely to use in most fights is Power Word Stun. The way the Power Word Stun spell works is it only affects a target that has less than 150 hit points.
That still could be your casters, though.
It can be your casters, or it can be one of your tanks once they've had their health knocked down a bit. And it stuns them, which is pretty straightforward. It does exactly what it suggests it does. It stuns the target. Stun targets can't do anything, and it lasts until they make their save. It's not 1 round, it's until they make the save.
What is the DC on that?
You out. It's the Lich's DC, which is 20.
You need to get that 20 or
the whole fight.
Oh,
that
you don't need to get
fight.
that 20, but you need to get 20 though. That's fucking hell. Okay.
It is. Let me double check what kind of save it is. It is a Constitution save. So yeah, that can take your spellcaster out for an entire combat.
That is hateful.
And again, it can regain that with the layer action. It has 1 9th level spell slot. It can't get 9th level spell slots back through the layer action, and it only has 1 9th level spell, which is Power Word Kill. This only works on creatures that have less than 100 hit points or less, 100 or fewer. So again, even against the casters at this level, you probably want to knock their health down a little bit to be sure it will work, because if they have more than 100 hit points, it does nothing. And if they have 100 hit points or less, they die. That's it. No save.
Free spells that are just hateful. Well, all the spells are hateful, but free super hateful spells. Disintegrate. Finger of Death.
Finger of Death.
Power Word Kill.
Yeah.
That's the catch. That's the catch.
Yeah. The catch is that it's not actually that hard to do enough damage to a Lich to kill it. It's just really hard to kill it without losing half your fucking party.
Yeah.
And to get it to stay still long enough for you to kill it. And even if you do, you've probably not killed it. And keep in mind, like, once you've made an enemy of a Lich, yes, this guy is a pain in the ass. So long as his phylactery is safe, he can just keep plane shifting to wherever you are to fuck with you.
Yeah.
But he's also typically had centuries to gather resources, finances, make evil allies. Like, it's the things he's going to send against you that aren't even him that are also a problem. But wait, there's more.
This is not an as seen on TV. You stop that right now.
That's just the spells.
Ah!
A Lich also has turn resistance, so the way clerics can like turn undead, it has advantage on saving throws against those sorts of things. So those things can still work. They're just unlikely to. It has 1 action that is not casting spells. Like, casting spells is what this thing is going to do, but it has 1 other option available to it, which is called Paralyzing Touch. It is a melee spell attack. It has a +12 to hit, reach of 5 feet, targets 1 creature, 3d6 cold damage.
It says Paralyzing Touch, though. Does it have a paralyzing agent to it?
Yes. You have to succeed a DC 18 Constitution saving throw or be paralyzed for 1 minute. You can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of your turns. So you're going to be paralyzed for at least bare minimum, if you fail the original saving throw, at least 1 whole round you're going to be paralyzed for.
DC 20 or?
DC 18. So it's not as bad. But wait.
No, there can't be more.
There is more. It has legendary actions.
Of course it does.
A reminder on legendary actions. A creature that has legendary actions has a certain number of legendary action points. It takes a certain number of points to use a legendary action, and then it has to wait for its turn to come back around. The Lich has 3 legendary action points, and it can choose from these options. And it can activate this at the end of another creature's turn, typically a player's. At the cost of 1 point, it can cast a cantrip, which realistically is going to be Ray of Frost. So it can just keep popping out little bits of damage. But it's worth bearing in mind Ray of Frost does damage, but it also slows your movement by 10 feet.
Yeah.
So it can fuck with the party a little bit. If it wants to spend 2 points, it can use its paralyzing touch outside of its normal turn order.
Okay.
Also for 2 points, like those are both pain in the ass, but they're not that big a deal. Really,
they're inconveniences rather than like game changers.
Yeah, they're not going to kill you unless you're super low on hit points.
Yeah.
It also wants to spend 2 actions points. It can use Frightening Gaze. The Lich fixes its gaze on one creature it can see within 10 feet of it, so pretty close. The target must succeed on a DC 18 Wisdom saving throw or become frightened for 1 minute. The frightened target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. If a target's saving throw is successful or the effect ends for it, the target is immune to the Lich's gaze for the next 24 hours. Again, frightened means you can't move any closer to the Lich, and you have disadvantage on most things you do while the Lich can see you and you can see it. That would probably work, I think. Well, it's spawned. No, actually, the butt plug thing would still work. I was wrong originally because
it's 5 feet.
The Lich, it's within 5 feet. So unless you've got an asshole that takes up a full 5-foot cube,
that's why I said it spawns by mounting the person.
Yeah, it would spawn beside you.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Phylactery butt plug is back on the menu, boys. Yeah, no, the butt plug thing would work now that I think about it. Putting it in fully inside you wouldn't stop it spawning, but you could, if you packed a phylactery in like 5 feet, like if you poured concrete on it, you could stop the Lich from respawning. Do you know what I mean? If you made a 5-foot cube of concrete, then the Lich is fucked. You would never be able to destroy the phylactery, but the Lich would also never be able to respawn. So the Frightening Gaze thing is also a pain in the ass, but it's not that big a deal.
It's not a game ender. Again, it's not. There are inconveniences more than sometimes you see with legendary actions that are just absolute headaches.
The last legendary action option it has costs all 3 points. Each non-undead creature within 20 feet of the Lich must make a DC 18 Constitution saving throw against this magic, taking 6d6 necrotic damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. So if it wanted to use that, that's the only legendary action it can do for a full round. But it does like a little mini nuke of an average of 21 necrotic damage in a bubble around it, which again it's a pain in the ass, but it's not that bad compared to some of the other stuff it can do. I honestly think you would get more damage consistently from just blasting Ray of Frost 3 times than using this, unless the whole party is around you in one go.
Yeah, no, the Ray of Frost would be like, because again, that movement speed sort of issues, like
it's not a 10 feet reduction isn't a lot, but it is significant.
Significant, especially if you only have like 4, like depending on like what magical items or any potions you're using to increase your movement speed. It's still gonna reduce your general sort of mobility. Like that's still something. And if you've got like, I don't want to say tanks, but like, you know, maybe not necessarily just tanks, but any of your martial classes who are trying to get up on the Lich, that is still going to play a factor in their sort of ability to get near the Lich, especially if the Lich is using like the dimension door to get to an elevated surface or somewhere just to kind of like get a bit of purchase and stuff. Zoran asks, would sealing the phylactery be a better solution than destroying it? It could be. It's probably an easier solution, but as Hunter says, it means you're creating a future problem where someone could unseal it. It's Jumanji. Yeah. Like someone might find it later. But that also is a way to introduce a Lich to a party.
that
Which
the
is
party
actually-
accidentally
that's kinda
unseals
cool.
a phylactery.
That's kind of cool, actually. Now you say that, there, I kind of vibe with that as an adventure concept.
Well, it's also an interesting way to introduce a lich to a party where the lich isn't immediately hostile, where maybe the lich is even like, I will grant you a boon, you have freed me, or like almost like a genie of like, I really appreciate you letting me out. What do you guys want? And the party maybe doesn't realize immediately what they've done. So one of the things that I really like about Monster of the Week, like the stats are great, the lore is great. You know that I love thinking of different ways you could use this monster in a campaign other than the obvious one. And I feel like the Lich has a lot of that going, because there's all the different ways you can interact with the phylactery. There's who the Lich was in life. There's a lot of material there for a DM. And it's why Liches are so often the final big bads of a campaign, because there's just so much ground to run on.
Yeah. And it's also like the risks of losing, like I feel like the risks of losing your character, especially with Disintegrate and like Finger of Death and whatnot, a Power Word Kill, those higher risk moments lead well to a like high level sort of crescendo, right? It's got to feel like you're in sort of like end game mode, like this, you're playing for keeps at this point,
Yeah, that the risks are high and success is actually really hard to achieve, because again, 135 hit points, you can take that down with like 2 party members turns.
Yeah,
it's how you keep it down.
Yeah, it's everything else around it, because it's okay, there's like it comes down to, there's a catch here, tell me what the goddamn catch is.
And you as the DM, you're setting up these combats most of the time, so you can decide like, oh no, it has like a couple of vampires, or it has shades, like it has other things with it, so the fight itself is a harder fight, and it's not just the strategy of the phylactery. Or you can really lean into the idea that this Lich is a fight that happens again and again, like a repeating boss fight, and it's just the party is trying to find and destroy the phylactery, but they know like every 1 to 10 days this motherfucker's teleporting and probably killing one of them before they manage to take it down again. So the Lich can afford to be like, every time we fight I lose, but every time we fight there's one less of you.
Yeah.
So eventually I'll kill you all.
Yeah.
Could the Lich use an illusion spell to look like a genie? There's nothing stopping it. It doesn't have any of those spells that would let it do that in its base stat block, but you as the DM can choose to give it different spells, additional spells, like magic abilities that it doesn't otherwise say it has. So yeah, a Lich could do that. Like that stat block is just meant to serve as, this is what the Lich does in a fight, but it's not necessarily meant to represent this is the full breadth of a Lich's abilities outside of combat. That's for you as the DM to establish. So you've got a lot of room there for what you decide to do with it. How do we feel about the Lich?
I like the Lich. I think, again, these encounters are kind of crunchy and kind of scary, but that's what makes for good D&D.
Yeah. I just thought it was time we kind of got around to it, because it's one of the big boys, and we've been doing more of the big, proper, famous D&D monsters this past year. With like, we've been doing Mind Flayers, we've been dragons, beholders, and I was like, Lich. Let's do the Lich.
Do you have like, again, I think it's because of my love of like World of Warcraft specifically. Like, I love the Arthas storyline. I do have like a soft spot for Liches, and like he's the Lich King, and I love that. I kind of, if I guess there's one like, like one bit of memorabilia I would love to have that is like stupidly expensive and completely like unbelievably like just overly elaborate and
Frostmourne.
Frostmourne. Yeah. I would love a
one. I figured you were either going to say Frostmourne or the Crown, and I was like,
one skill
unwieldy. It's the Frostmourne.
Yeah, the Frostmourne. I would just love a 1-to-1, because they did exist at one point. They were produced. The 1-to-1 skill frost, like official Frostmournes.
You could probably still find, not an official one, but I'm sure you could find a replica sword maker who could make one. Maybe or like who does make them.
But like if I could, I would have a Frostmourne right here, somewhere. I have a Gimli's axe right there. I just need a Frostmourne.
That's good.
Gimli's axe is good, but I would take a Frostmourne over Gimli's axe any day.
Would you?
Yes.
Fuck a lich?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no two ways about it. That would happen.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you want to stay on their good side.
Yeah.
And you also know you don't need to hold back.
Oh no, definitely not.
You could fuck them to death.
I mean,
and
they're
then,
already dead.
7 days later, next session.
He's just very cantankerous and very unhappy about the situation, so he takes it out on you.
Yeah. Or maybe, consented. That's what he wanted. It's there's not a lot of good meat on them bones, though. It's mostly bones. It's almost exclusively bones, except for the face, which, as we've established, that's where all the flesh is.
Yeah. And the radiator IR dots for his TV.
Sure. If you line up two liches head gems perfectly, they can trade Pokemon.
Oh yeah, like the original Game Boy format. Yeah. Oh, I wonder if they have link cables.
I think first edition liches did, but the newer versions they do it wirelessly.
Oh, I get it, because like the later editions used DSI lichware.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the lich is a smash. I think it's a great monster, and it's actually, I hadn't realized just how original it is to Dungeons and Dragons, the version that we think of.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
That is cool. I really like that.
Well, there you go.
I'm vibing more and more with the 5th edition one now. It's very Papa Emeritus.
I do think he needs a crown or a hat. Or a feathered headdress.
They had a slightly off tangent.
Oh no!
Fact.
One of those fruit hats the dancers used to wear.
Oh yes.
Pop one of those on him. Good to go.
But Ghost weirdly hit a record for best musical movie.
Okay.
Most or maybe commercially successful musical movie, because they released they released a whole concert with a story going through the beats of the concert, like Metallica did several years ago. I went to see it called Right Here Right Now. I went to see it in the cinema, and it's really good, but apparently it's also hit box office records and stuff, which is wild because
it's not a band you would assume would get that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't assume they'd have enough viewership to get that.
Yeah, where no, apparently this is one of the most successful musicals technically of all time.
There you go. Weird.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring us back up big?
Yeah. Which we should be now. We are.
Yeah, there we go. I've no idea. I have no idea what our next monster of the week is going to be. I didn't decide on Lich until this morning. I normally leave it until today, so we'll see what it is.
That's kind of the choice. It's the surprise.
Do you have any tales from the table this week?
Not at the minute. No, we're kind of getting.
That's fine.
We're actually if timeline is scaled, we are entering a phase of re-establishing rules this week, and then potentially back into season 2 of Buffy the following weeks. So that's on the table, but it's not confirmed because things can happen and change.
Yeah. I have tales from the table.
Ooh.
Because I have a new character that I'm playing.
Nice.
If you remember, I said a couple of weeks ago that Teapot Shark was thinking of running a City of Mist game, and I was trying to narrow down my options of what I wanted to play.
Yeah.
So my new character is Olivia Chambers. She is a very weird librarian, and she is the Rift of the Black Goat of the Woods, Mother of 1,000 Young, which is a Lovecraftian entity, who is literally Cthulhu's grandmother.
I thought you were going to be a bit funny about it and go, she is the Rift of earplugs.
No. I was very close to doing Rift of Clowns,
No.
Yeah, like it was real close. I had the character mapped out and ready to go. But I went with Eldritch Horror instead. And then T-Bot Shark turned around and started the first scene is at the circus. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You fucking kidding me? I could have done clowns at the circus and it's fine. It's fine. So she is able to summon and create eldritch creatures that can do things for her. So I've only shown one in the game so far, and she views them as like halfway between pets and her children. You need to warn me about shit. So the first one I've shown is called Legs.
Right.
And
should I ask?
He looks like a cobra that is so swollen with muscle, like Randy Orton's stomach.
Yes.
And it has dozens of little segmented legs coming out the side of it.
Okay.
And it has the head of a cobra, like the hood, but the head has no eyes, nostril slits, or mouth. It's just like one smooth shape. And then the head splits open into 4 segments, and a human eyeball comes out on a stalk.
Fuck.
That's what Hunter says.
So, okay. So my curiosity gets piqued. Like, have you considered looking at like Call of Cthulhu's like monster manual to see what you could maybe pull from that?
So I actually haven't, and I hadn't thought about that, and that's a really good idea. And that is a thing that I probably will now do. What I did do was I did listen to an audiobook version of the Call of Cthulhu short story, like the original one.
Yeah.
Boy, I knew he was racist, but I wasn't ready for how racist the story got as quickly as it did.
Yeah, he's pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, there is evidence to suggest that he was getting better as he got older and that he was working on that. But that story was flat out.
So from my understanding, is like he as a writer became more collaborative in his older age, and I think that's what elements played into it as well. That he was not the type of person who he was very open with his works and wanted to work with more people.
Yeah, and he wanted other people to do stuff with what he'd started.
Yeah, and so I think that plays into a lot of the sort of softening of those edges as well.
That is true. I do mean that there is evidence to suggest that he himself was getting less racist. Like, was still racist when he died, but was, doing some work. But yeah, that original Call of Cthulhu story was very good. It was very good. If you tried not to think about how racist it was. The way that I got around it is that it's written from the perspective of the character. So I was trying to be like, this is problems this character has,
not problems the writer.
Yeah. It was good. It did help me get into the mindset, just to like with some of the language to use when describing these creatures. But what I can actually do, if it's of interest to you, because you know the way City of Mist works off of like tags.
Yeah.
You have little phrases that you invoke to get a +1. I can read you what her character sheet looks like.
Yeah,
if that's something that would be interesting. So it's split into 4 themes.
Okay.
The first theme is so she's got 3 like normal person themes, and then 1 spooky person theme. Her first normal person theme is a personality theme, and it's called She's a Freak, She's a Weirdo. Because she's meant to just be someone that like people have always thought is strange. You know that person in school where you're like, they're just weird. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just weird.
Yeah. Okay.
And every theme has like an identity or a mystery that you have to either try and answer or adhere to. And if you don't, then the theme starts falling apart and you lose the benefits of it. So her identity on her She's a Freak, She's a Weirdo theme is it's good to be strange. So when I play her, I need to keep in mind that either she stays true to this belief that she has, that it's good to be strange, or I start losing risk losing the benefits that the theme gives me. So it's a way to kind of keep you as a player on track of like, okay, this is who this person is. And if it stops being who they are, that's fine. It just then gets replaced with something
else,
like supernatural instead of normal. So the tags that I can use to get a +1 in a situation when they're relevant are eccentric, oddball. So whenever she's weird, I get a +1. People watcher. So if she's doing anything related to like just observing people, then I get like a +1 because she likes just watching people and figuring out who they are and what makes them tick. And the third one is unsettling factoids. She's someone that can just like randomly be like, did you know? And then comes out with something where you're like, why the fuck do you know that? That's weird. I think the first one
I got the Watch Mojo, like, did you know?
So like one of the ones that I've already had her use is, did you know that spiders can't chew? Which is true, but is one of those things that it's like, why? What? That's a really weird fact.
Oh yeah, they melt their prey, don't they? And then slurp it?
I don't know. I just know they can't chew. Okay. So anytime she's using an unsettling factoid, either to like put the pieces of a puzzle together or freak someone out or whatever, I get a +1 then. But every theme also has a weakness. So it's a tag that either you or the narrator, MC, DM can invoke to get a -1.
Right.
To be like, this is a thing your character has that isn't super helpful. But every time it gets used, you get closer to leveling up. So you kind of get rewarded for leaning into the parts of your character that aren't so strong, which is, I think, really fun. Rather than, like, it discourages power gaming. So her weakness for this theme is just weird vibes. She's got weird vibes, man. So just anytime she's trying to interact with another human being, she's not good at it. They're just like, I don't know, feel weird about you, don't like it.
Just the idea is like, okay, your general presence makes me feel off.
Yeah, I've been writing her as someone that kind of just, someone that always just stands a bit too close and doesn't blink enough. And you're just like, you're making me uncomfortable by not doing anything, and I don't like it.
Okay, yeah. It's kind of... Yeah, I know that type of... Yeah, Yeah. I started this like replaying like memories from school and like work and everything where
we all know those sorts of people, and it's not they're bad people. You're just like, I don't feel comfortable.
There's just social boundaries that you just don't want to have to like deal with, and to some extent these social boundaries are being challenged or encroached upon, and that is inherently uncomfortable. Yeah.
And then her second theme is a turf theme, not that kind. Turf, TURF, like a patch that you are in charge of.
That makes more sense.
Definitely not that kind. She is 100% queer. And this one,
like, what the fuck?
yeah. No. Never me. Split second, man. For just a split second. So this one is the library that she works at, that she gets bonuses for either being in the library or using the resources of the library. And I wanted to make her a librarian to lean into that Lovecraftian idea of like scholars and academics who were finding knowledge that was never meant to be known. So her identity to that one that she has to stick with is the stacks are sacred, that like she really believes the library is an important place, that knowledge is important, and that she can't let like things go wrong in the library. She can't let problems happen in the library. The tags she has that she gets bonuses for are just the library. Yeah. So if she's doing stuff there, anything like that, +1. Esoteric knowledge, that just she knows a lot about a lot. And silent stalker of the stacks, that especially when she's in the library, but kind of everywhere else. You know, one of those people that just don't make any fucking noise when they move around? That it's like they're not trying to be quiet. They're just like, you turn around and they're there and you're like, fucking...
Inherently soft-footed.
Yeah. So she mostly gets the benefit of that in the library, but there's like outside of it, she might still be able to, if I can convince Teapot Shark of like, she's really quiet, they might let me have the +1. And then the weakness for that one is underfunding, because libraries do not get funded enough.
Yeah, that, you know what, that's apt, and also a social commentary I was not expecting.
It was a thing because I asked Teapot Shark, like, is there an existing library in your setting I can use, or should I make one? And they were like, here's the library I've got. This was using a bunch of like terms to describe it and went, it's obviously underfunded. And then I put that as my weakness tag, and they were like, oh, I like that you've tied in a thing I already told you about it that is a problem as the direct weakness. That one probably won't get invoked too much unless she's actually at the library.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense that
it's a situational one, but they could still have a...
It could come up basically any time she's there doing anything.
Yeah.
But not too often outside of that. So whenever a theme falls apart, it flips to the opposite. So your normal person stuff becomes spooky people stuff. You get more superpowers as you lose your normal stuff. You get more normal stuff as you lose your superpowers. And I already know what this one will flip into. There's a theme called Enclave for you basically, like if you were the... I'm trying to think of an example. If you were the Rift of Geralt of Rivia, you could have an Enclave theme for Kaer Morhen. Of like, that's where your character's story is based out of, and you get a bunch of benefits to it. The Mother of 1,000 Young is described in different Lovecraftian stories as having like a weird copper temple. So I'm like, if she ever loses the library theme, I think it will flip that she gets the copper temple. But the enclaves are always in an actual place in the city, or you get to them through an actual place in the city. And I think it will be in the library. Like, she still has to go there to get the benefit. It's just, no, now it's weirder.
Yeah.
And then her third one is a struggle theme, which is about the idea that you have something that you struggle with in life. And that can be anything that you might struggle with. Hers is called All By Myself. And the identity for that one is I've never belonged. Because again, she was that weird kid, never had any friends, spent all her time reading. And she's mostly made her peace with it and is quite happy in her own company. But it's, you know, that thing in the back of your head where you're like, I'm fine with that. But it still kind of sucks. And the tags she has for that are Offbeat Autonomy, which I've already used a couple of times, where it's like anytime she does something by herself, she's very used to it. So she gets a little boost. Spy the Strange, which is meant to be like she really likes weird things, so she's really good at spotting weird things. Target Insecurities, because you get all of these by answering a certain question in that theme book. And one of them was... how do you lash out when you are dealing with your struggle? And I was like, I think she's really good because she's meant to be like a people watcher. She's really good at knowing the thing to say that is actually super fucking hurtful and probably regrets it afterwards, but still knows how to do it. And then for this one, there's an optional thing you can do where on one of your themes, instead of three tags and a weakness, you can have 4 tags and 2 weaknesses. So this one has a 4th tag of Kooky Camaraderie. That she wants to have friends. She's just a bit weird about it. And then there's 2 weaknesses. The first one is Disconnected, for just when she's feeling like she doesn't really fit in. And then the other one is Unsettling Eagerness, for you know someone that wants to be your friend, and you can tell they want to be your friend, and they're trying just a little too hard, and it puts you off. And then the last one is I only give her 1 spooky theme to start with. I could have given her 3 spooky and 1 normal, but I was like, no, I want her to slide weirder as it goes on. is conjuration, so I can make things, which in this case is eldritch offspring. And then the tag that benefits them is horrifying forms, because they just are awful. They're awful to look at, unless you're Hunter and then you want to fuck them, which is valid. And then one of the questions I answered was, what makes your conjurations... Hey! Don't tell the truth. Said with love. One of the ones I answered was, what makes your conjurations especially hard to destroy or banish? And I answered that with mother's love. Because like the way conjurations mostly work in City of Mist is that you're making kind of almost like a like a hard light, like a Green Lantern kind of situation.
Yeah.
And it can be like magically banished or destroyed. Whereas because she actually cares about the creatures she's making, I was like, I think that gives them a little bit of extra juice. So they're harder to destroy because she loves them. And then her weakness for that is Madness Unleashed, which is like, yeah, if you start making eldritch monsters with like 50 mouths, your sanity or the sanity of people that see them or just like a situation can get crazy. It's bad. Don't do it. Don't make monsters.
Look into the monster section of Call of Cthulhu, because that's what those monsters are designed to do. Is like any encounter you see in Cthulhu is meant to etch away at your sanity gauge.
Yeah, I would look at that more for more for the like imagery, because like I can't take the rules and use those, but I can use them as descriptive elements.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what a character sheet is like in this game system that I keep talking about. I was like, oh, I'll go through one for you so you can be like, and that's it. There's no armor class or HP. It's just story things about your character that tell you who the character is. Yeah. And whenever one or more of them comes up, you get a +1 for each one that makes sense in that situation.
Obviously, you gotta justify how that is actually factored in. So you gotta justify how this tag actually makes sense.
So the way it works is that whenever it's time for you to make a roll, you will say to your like the actual term in the book is MC, but the term they're using for their new game is narrator, and I think that's a really cool way to refer to like a DM or MC or GM. Is that you say to your narrator, okay, I think it makes sense if I use this because this and this because this and this because this. And then they'll come back to you and either could be like, yep, that's all fine, or they'll go, no on that one, I feel like you're pushing it, but yes on the other ones. So you're kind of encouraged to have almost this kind of like back and forth little like cheeky trying to use more tags than you maybe should, so the narrator can go no. Which is kind of fun in and of itself, that you get a bit of banter based around almost it's almost like you're encouraged to like rules lawyer your own character a little bit and be like, well, if you think about it, I should be allowed to use this. It
is the sort of like don't ask, don't get mentality.
Exactly. If you don't say, well, I can use this tag because, it's very unlikely that the narrator will be like, oh, you haven't thought about this one. They might do, but it's rare. So it's like you might as well throw out everything that you think has a chance, and then the narrator will whittle it down and be like, okay, these are the ones you can use. And yeah, she's just a spooky library girl that has just little guys. They're just little guys.
Just little guy. Eldritch horrors like beyond the imagination and sanity that we're able to cope with, but they're just little guys.
They're just goofy little guys. So we haven't done too much of that game yet. We're still like early days. It only started a couple of days ago, I think. So it's Teapot Shark is running it. I'm a player. Lovelock Chan is a player. We've recruited a couple of other people, like through, I'm not sure where each of them came from, but like looked for people on like Reddit, looked for people through the City of Mist official Discord. I am not sold on either of them yet, but I'm trying to give them a chance.
It's one of those ones where, like, I guess given how you in the group have had some less than stellar experience with some of the pickup groups.
Yeah.
I get your apprehension at this point.
I'm hoping none of them try to rape a lake, but history has shown me that people will do all sorts of stuff.
It's one of those situations where if anyone ever goes to me, what is the weirdest thing you've heard in a TTRPG? I now have the story. I now have the cocked and loaded story of I was told about a guy who tried to rape a lake. And it's like
it was just that he was really unhappy that he wasn't being encouraged to.
Yeah, like he was being actively dissuaded from it and got very possessive and borderline determined to reach a lake's autonomy.
Yeah.
And that is just so weird of a sentence that I kind of don't even know how I could deliver that with a straight face to some people.
It is bizarre. Like, both of these new players have done things that I like and things that I don't like. So for context, Love Like China's character is the Rift of Eve, like the biblical Eve.
Yes.
But is doing a spin on it where Eve is also the snake.
Satan? Really?
Well, just not the snake as Satan, but that Eve was the figure that tempted herself to eat the apple. That Eve saw the apple and wanted it and convinced herself, and that there was no literal snake. The snake was a metaphor for your, temptation.
This thing is like, so her concept is like she's Eve, but also Satan because why not?
not quite. It's a bit more like say metaphor for being the source of your own temptation thing.
Yeah.
One of our other players is the Rift of they changed a bunch of times. I think it's Skull, the Norse god of the moon, I want to say, or night, something like that. And then the other new player is the Rift of Mordred from Arthurian legend, the Black Knight who betrayed Arthur. And in some versions of the story was Arthur's son, in some versions wasn't.
Some versions it's a nephew. Yeah, it depends on the
which I think Mordred's a really cool idea for, like, I'm going to base a character around this. I don't like what they've done with it because they decided that they are an 18-year-old son of like a billionaire who turned against their dad, and also they're the captain of the football team, and also they've introduced their character with a love interest immediately, and also they gave us art of what their armor looks like when they summon their armor, and it's weeb as fuck. Yeah, don't like it, but I'm giving it a chance.
That's a bit Mary Sue-ish, isn't it?
It is super Mary Sue-ish. It is super fucking Mary Sue-ish. It is Gary Stu all the way. I am trying to wait and see where it goes.
Yeah. Mary Sue's fuck. Oh God!
I'm hoping that as we all adjust to each other and figure out each other's styles, that we will like find a rhythm. One of the first things, not the Mordred character, the other character did with my character, was call her love, call her darling, and then hand her something and say, "Here, you can hold this for me." And I was like, she doesn't like that. She doesn't like that. Oh yeah, and the Mordred character is currently completely ignoring the investigation because he's on a date. Like, is off on his own, doing nothing that has anything to do with the story because they're on a date. So Teapot Shark is running like circus mystery for everyone else and a dating simulator game for this one person, and keeps trying to leave clues right in front of this other person's face to be like, you see a weird thing, you hear this thing, and they just keep going like, oh, that's weird, anyway, I'm on my date. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Meanwhile, my character is having legs, like sniff people. She tried to pick a fight with the victim, and now she's talking to someone that may or may not be supernatural. I think they're not, but they know someone who is. That's my guess. And the last I checked, the other characters were like following a direct lead. Like, we've split off a little bit to look at different aspects of the investigation, but we're at least looking at the investigation. Because there was a point where it was me and the other new guy, and then Love Like China and the Mordred guy.
Yeah.
And then the pairs split up, and the Mordred guy was like, oh, I like that the pairs are going to swap. And I was like, are they? I'm not going near your character. I don't give a shit. I'm going where interesting things are happening. You can join us if you want to, but I'm not having my character be a third wheel on your date. It's like, if you want to be in the game, be in the game. If you want to be part of the story, be part of the story. If you want to be a tortured, edgy, rich boy captain of the football team on a date, there are sims. There are dating sims. They're all over Steam these days.
So deeply uncomfortable.
They also keep, like, every time something reminds them of anything, this is the player, it always reminds them of Persona. It's like, oh, that really reminds me of a monster in Persona. Oh, I keep looking for music for my character and finding Persona music. Oh, this is just like in Persona. And I'm like, the Persona games are great. They are great games with great soundtracks and great monster designs. I'm not knocking them. I personally enjoy them. I think they're great. If it's the same as anything else, though, if you've only got one point of reference for everything, it gets cringe really fast, especially if it's a JRPG. But I'm trying. I'm trying to be patient and see where it goes and not be myself.
I'm not even in the game, and I'm trying not to lose my shit right now.
Mm-hmm. It's not quite as bad as I'm making it out, but it's not great. I'm hoping it gets better.
I can imagine. I can imagine it's a fucking shit show. I can imagine it's completely and utterly ruining the flow of the game. I can imagine it's very frustrating because
it's not quite as bad as that, but it's the sort of stuff that doesn't give you a lot of hope going forward. I mean, my view, if I was Teapot Shark, I know some of the things that I would do. I would be using a failed role from someone to fuck with the date, to fuck with the other person on the date, to make it like, no, the date is over, it's finished. I know you've tried to give them crumbs of plot. Crumbs of plot are clearly not working. So I would be like, no, the date's done. Rock falls. You either need to smack them in the face with plot to the point where they can't ignore it, or end the date. One of you should fail a dang roll. I think I've made 3 rolls, and I've invoked my own weakness in 2 of them. So I'm not trying to succeed. I'm doing what I can. Ferris wheel falls, everybody dies. Yeah. Or you just have her excuse herself because she needs to step away, and then she dies. Or he loses her in the crowd. It's just like something. My sneaking suspicion is that they are not someone who is going to respond to nudges. I think they're going to need to be shoved at content to engage in the game the rest of us are playing. And I know as a DM how fucking exhausting that is. So we'll see how it goes. As I say, I'm hoping that with us like continuing to set an example of like, no, we're over here playing this game, and they keep bringing up in like the out of character chat, like the general chat, like things about their date, like and everyone's just like, don't care, not interested. You should have made them roll to hold hands. I said you should have made them roll to hold hands, and you said no. So that's on you. Yeah. I'm enjoying my character. I'm very thoroughly enjoying Love Like China's character. It's a very different character than I've ever seen them play before, and that's always fun when you get to see a friend do something new. Our other player I don't super love, but I'm less worried about. It has been very frustrating for us to find other players that we vibe with across multiple games. And at times I go, at a certain point you have to acknowledge that that's a you thing. Like, it's like, you know, if you keep running into the same problem, maybe you're the problem. And then I remember, no, someone tried to rape a lake. That's not us.
Yeah, there's a they had other moments in a different game with views that showed a
pattern.
A pattern of problematic behavior. It was just the lake was kind of like the biggest.
It was the most absurd version of what they tried to do elsewhere, to the point where we were like, okay, we can't ignore this now because they're doing it to a whole lake. What?
They've managed to make a body of water uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Enough for people who are getting into the body of water. The actual body of water is now uncomfortable.
So we'll see how it goes. I'm really enjoying my character. I'm enjoying Love Like China's character. Third character's okay. Like, it is problematic, but I'm trying to figure out whether it's deliberate or an accident on the part of the player, because the game is set in the UK, so they're trying to work UK slang into what their character says, and I think they're accidentally giving a tone they don't realize they're giving because they're not super familiar with how the slang is used, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to give them more rope. Fourth player I'm concerned about, and I'm loving everything that Teapot Shark is doing. You know, they gave me a circus mystery. I got to drop some trivia about Grady Stiles, Lobster Boy, murderer and murder victim, real person, historically interesting. Look him up. I got to drop some trivia about the fact that it is considered bad luck backstage at a circus to whistle or eat peanuts. And that the way to counteract it is apparently to carry some elephant hair in your pocket. These are all true things, but because my character is a weird little fact gremlin, I get to like pepper them throughout.
I'm not curious about why you're not allowed to eat peanuts, but that's just a curiosity, I guess.
I don't know why it's one of those things that I don't know why it's considered bad luck. It's just considered bad luck.
I wonder if that's like supernatural.
It's extra weird because
peanuts
are a snack that you would get at the circus.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a superstition thing, like.
Oh yeah, it is. It's a superstition, but I don't know I don't know the origin of the superstition. I just know that it is one. And you're also not allowed to whistle, but that is slightly more common in performing. That whistling is considered bad luck. So yeah, I'm having a good time. I'm just like keeping an eye on some stuff that I'm like, I wish this was better.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that. I can relate to that.
I'm enjoying playing like a really weird nerd with monster babies. That's fun.
That sounds like that part sounds fun. That sounds good. That sounds like. In my head, I think of like kind of like a warlock from like World of Warcraft, so you summon demons and shit. You know, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah. When I described legs, the reaction of our players that don't know me as well, they were like, "What the fuck? This is fucked up. It's cool, but it's fucked up." And I was like, "Guys, this is the first one. I could have gone way harder on this. This was the intro. It's gonna get so much worse, so much worse."
Yeah.
Like, I imagine at some point something's going to probably kill Legs, and then she's going to make Legs 2. And Legs 2 is going to be so much worse.
And it's going to worse Stilettos.
No, I already know the legs are what's going to change, and I already know how they're going to change. If you mute us, I'll tell you. I don't want Teapot Shark to know, but I'll tell you if we're muted.
Okay, I'll mute. So you're muted. The chat can still hear me, but they won't be able to hear you. Okay. Yeah, I can still hear you. Yeah. Ah. Okay. Unmuting you. I'm muting you now, so you're heard again. You'll be heard again. Ah, that is horrific. That is literally horrific. But okay. That is actually horrific. But okay.
Like, how much worse do you think that is?
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It's
then
terrible.
That means I've done a good job. Because for that kind of creature, that should be the reaction.
Yeah.
Is that people are like, no. And then she's just there like, he's just a little guy. He's just a little guy. Oh, and in the character creation process, you get to answer questions where it's like, my character knows a secret about someone's. Whose do they know? And like, you go around and make connections. So Love Like China's character had basically that thing of like, my character knows a secret about someone's character, and I was like, oh, mine, you know that sometimes she just lets them go. She just releases them into the city to be free.
That's irresponsible.
It is very irresponsible.
That's incredibly irresponsible.
It immediately started a conversation with the guy playing the edgy Mordred guy of like, is your character a villain? I don't know if I want to be in a party with a villain. And I was like, feels like that's a conversation that should happen between the characters. But maybe. What is the role of a mother if not to prepare her children and then release them into the world?
I hate that you're really purposely misconstruing that concept. Like, I deeply hate that you have taken that concept that is a nurturing concept and you've decided to just flip it on its head aggressively.
Yep. Hunter, I love that aspect. I was like, I want to play around with the idea of someone who is the rift of a figure that is known for being a mother, but is also a Lovecraftian, unknowable entity of insanity that we cannot understand, so that the way it influences her to be a mother is one that we're like, that's not right. That's not how that's supposed to be. Love the idea that she just lets them go. Not all of them, not always, but some of them, occasionally, she releases them into the wild of the city.
There's just a deep part of me. It's just like, that is so irresponsible. That is so irresponsible. Mm-hmm. For like people aren't going to know how to deal with that, and also they are not going to know how to deal with people.
I mean, it depends how hungry they are.
The people or them?
Yep.
I
Yep.
am deeply uncomfortable by this, especially
On that note,
to
guys,
come.
it's been a great show.
Knowing what's to come, I'm deeply uncomfortable.
I will keep you updated on whether, because I'm also aware we might run into one of them.
Yeah.
Like, we could be doing something and it's just like, oh, here's one of them off doing its thing. But that's a really fun thing to give Teapot Shark. To be like, here you go. Here's a tool you as the narrator get to fuck with me with.
Here's a Christian toolbox. Go have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Get
it. But yeah, that is Player versus Dice for this week, guys. I need to go have my dinner.
Yes.
I don't know of anything I have that means we couldn't do PVD next Monday.
Nothing on my schedule that should stop me. It is the week of my dreaded Ascension. So
to Godhood?
No, just
Lichdom?
No, nothing cool. Just age, and
oh yeah.
So it's one of the things I don't know what's happening because it lands like spot right in the middle. I don't know what people are gonna try and do to me before or after that there, because like no one can do anything to me during the week because people have jobs and lives.
Not me.
But like, yeah, we'll see him. But like, Gaylordness, maybe, you never know. But yeah, it's one of those things where like I don't foresee nothing's been planned for next Monday, and I doubt like if someone tries to go, oh, we'll do something on Monday, I'm inclined to go. No,
Monday's a weird day for it anyway.
Yeah,
for most people.
It's a very weird day.
Well,
yeah,
if anything,
Hunters
if anything
is
comes
weirdly 2 days before mine. Hunters is on Monday.
If anything comes up for the Monday, that related or otherwise, let me know. We'll say that next Monday is a probably, unless something comes up, as it sometimes does.
Yeah.
And also let me know if there are any plans for that thing, because I love you.
No, I love you too. I don't have anything planned for it. Like I don't have anything planned for it, and I deeply hope no one has anything planned for me.
Fa?
We could go for Fa. I would
say go for Fa.
We could go for Fa. I would say no to Fa.
Okay, maybe some Fa.
I owe you a Fa, so that works for me.
No, not for that.
No. We said next time we go for Fa, I owe you one.
We did say that, but birthday doesn't. You don't get to buy someone else food on your birthday.
I like doing that.
But we could maybe go for Fa. We will chat about that probably like at the weekend and figure out what day works best. So yeah, on that note, guys, we're gonna love you and leave you. When are you next live?
I'll be live unless like some awful thing happens that I can't stream mentally. I'll be live tomorrow. Which it's one of those ones where it should be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I'm having a lot of fun with, but you just never know. Like
because we're both playing Final Fantasy at the minute.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like I've been like missing occasional days during the week of streams just because like I just become mentally spent sometimes because certain things for the week take it out of me. Like last week, just trying to get like passport documents sorted out. I think I missed a Friday or a Thursday stream. One of the day streams I missed it just because like it came to the day and like I'm dead. I'm literally dying. And I can't make it, so I just like subtly just did not show up to a stream, which means no stream happened because if I don't show up, the stream never happens then. So it just happens.
That's mostly true.
Yeah. Folks, if you want to check out John Strance's streams, he does stream throughout the week as well. You can check him out on the link that's put in the chat. For those who have problems clicking the links, it's you can type it yourself then. It's twitch.tv/John Strance. You can check him out. He typically goes live on a Thursday as his mainstay day, but bonus streams happen throughout the week where he can manage it between his writing career, because he does writing for the website The Gamer, if I remember correctly.
That is correct. Career is a strong word for what I get paid, but I appreciate it.
Your career starts somewhere, and this is obviously part of your career. So that when he's not writing articles for The Gamer, which you can go check it on The Gamer. He just streams on his channel, twitch.tv/John Strance. So go check him out. Finished
on Thursday there, the first Broken Sword game. Nice. That was a lot of fun to go through. So this Thursday we're going to start the second Broken Sword game, Sword: The Smoking Mirror. And then I've been doing Final Fantasy 14. I've actually streamed, if not every day the past week, pretty close to it. I've been streaming a bunch because I've been having such a good time with it. And we'll probably be with that for a while.
They really.
I believe Nico is in all of them. I believe all the games feature George and Nico.
It's a shame,
but we will find out.
They really should. They missed the trick with the name of the second Broken Sword game. It should be called Broken Sword: Rise of the Dagger.
They have weird names. So the first one is Broken Sword: Shadow of the Templars. Then it's Broken Sword 2: The Smoking Mirror. Then it's Broken Sword 3: The Sleeping Dragon. Then Broken Sword 4: The Angel of Death. And then Broken Sword 5: The Serpent's Curse.
He's very Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's very much a not that it was a thing when the games were first made. It's very a what are those Nick Cage movies called?
National Treasure?
National Treasure. That's the vibe. It's very National Treasure. I think only the first game features a broken sword.
Which is just the dagger.
Lazy writing. But yes, check it out. And hopefully we'll be back next Monday for more Play vs.
Yes, folks, we're going to love yous. We are going to leave yous. But if we're lucky, we'll see yous on our respective channels at our designated times. Hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. Have a good one, folks. Peace.
Peace.